Yo, 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 yo. Sorry. I was doing like five different things at once there. Hello everyone and welcome to X and One. Sorry, I was like messaging like everyone, hey, we're live. We are joined by Anthony, he graciously agreed to join us. He was like, what time? I was like 10 p.m. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, man.
It's okay. I only have to be up at 5:45 for work, so if you don't think about it too hard, it's okay.
That's good. It's good training for eventual kids if you're into that.
Ideally not.
Good call.
I'm so glad. Like my kid turns 4 in January, and it definitely feels like I'm past all like the body trauma stage. So like now we start dealing with like the kid having independent thoughts, becoming a young adult stage. But the actual like just like midnight trauma, like we're past that, I think.
Yeah.
So it's getting easier and easier to travel to events, as you've noticed. I've been going to a bunch of them.
So Cliff, you like super scammed yourself in that regard, right? Your kid was like just old enough to like operate independently, and you're like, let's add a second.
Let me just slide a new one in.
Yeah.
Extend this out another 4 years. Yeah. Not smart. That's smart.
Well, because you were like just far enough removed, or you forgot what it was like, and you're just like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
What have you guys been up to, man? It's been like 3-4 weeks now.
What you get is my fault. You go first, Anthony. I have boring stuff.
I mean, I just do I have anything exciting? I don't think so. I went to LGT. That was cool. I wasn't like just on here, right? So it's like, how much do you want to know about me? The LGT was
3 weeks for us, so just tell us what you've been up to in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, I went to a sweet metal show in London, which is actually the entire reason that I went to LGT. Because there was a show the weekend before that was like 3 of my originally I bought the ticket because it was 2 of my favorite bands, and then I found out like a week before the event that a third one had just like casually stapled themselves on as the opener. And it was in like this giant venue called Alexandra Palace, or Ali Pally as the Brits call it. And if you ever have an option to see a concert there, you should do it. It was like 7,000 people, like all general admission, all standing, which was really baller for a metal show. But you can do anything there. The venue was really cool. Then I did a week in Edinburgh with Brian Sipe of Team Scotland fame, Team Ignite fame now, I guess. I don't know which one of those is more appropriate. One of the top players in the world. I don't know, whatever you want to go with Brian. He's a good friend of mine. Edinburgh was really cool. We make a lot of jokes about him living like in Castle Bryan, like his apartment's really, really, really nice. And then I went to LGT and I went 5-0 with World Eaters. On the like fucking bingo card I had going into the event, me doing better than all the people like playing the right factions was not on it. So that was quite funny, like finishing round 5.
I'm taking credit for that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you, Ryan B, like there was a lot of people that were responsible for me making irresponsible army choices.
Oh man, what was the pasta sauce question? It was so muddy.
Yeah, that was Tim got the soul read on me. I was like halfway through answering when I was like, no, wait, no, come back.
So, I knew you would you would just instinctively. I was like, okay, like tri-state boy, Italian man. It was I knew it would just come out before you even knew like what happened.
Dude, the right answer is never Alfredo sauce. Alfredo sauce is only eaten by non-Italians.
Yeah. I knew that when I asked that question. That was engineered.
Brutal. So yeah, like definitely sitting around at the end of round 5, me being 5-0 and Innocent Brian looking at me from 4-1 was very confusing. But it did happen, so that was funny. So yeah, that was the thing. And then after that happened, I literally like went up to the TO and I was like, hey, listen, man, my army leaves after this round, so I gotta drop. What do you want to do with that information? He was like, what I want you to do is go ask that guy if there's any way that you can have his army stay an extra round and go home with someone else. And I was like, okay. So I did, and I went and asked, and Boris let me hang on to his army for an extra round, and was going to send it home with Nos. Nos, if you listen to the show, send me the charge for that Uber so that you got back and didn't have to take Boris's beautiful army on a drain. Yeah. And then I played Manny and lost. So it didn't matter. It like super didn't matter because even if I had beaten Manny, I would have had to fucking drop anyway because I had a flight on Monday. So I just kept playing because the TO was like, go on, son, keep going. And I was like, all right, I will because you want me to. But Like I wasn't gonna play the shadow round having to drop Monday because like ain't nothing more awkward than a buy after the shadow. They could have just had like one less person play shadow and it all works out. But like, like we go into top 8 and I'm like, all right, bye. So there's 7 of them. Or like the guy I beat plays it anyway. I don't like why did we play? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that was the tale of the tape. There's the short answer on like why World Leaders worked is that it is much faster than people expect it to be. I think there's like a thing like psychologically that happens with movement speeds in 40K, and it's a bit like humans counting people in a room. Where like after like 20, your brain's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's like 20, 100 might as well be a billion. Doesn't fucking matter. So like you tell someone that you can move 17 and charge, and they're like, I've dealt with fast units that move like 9 before. That's gonna be fine. And it's like, no, bro, this is a very different all right, whatever, I guess we'll see in a minute. And like all of my opponents in practice games and 3 of my 6 opponents at the tournament were like, yeah, this is like I'm making a bunch of mistakes just because I haven't used the fight phase in 10th. And I was like, oh, that's good. That's telling. There was a lot of like people putting units too close to each other and then me like charging one, piling around, smacking the other, and then being like, oh, that's not good. Also, as my nickname implies over here, for those of you not watching, it says Prophet of Corn because Angron finished every game on the table. I did not have a game in which he did not either like die and then res and then finish the game or just not die at all. So yeah, that helps with when you're playing him. If there is definitely worlds where you like play him, miss an angle, he gets shot turn 1, dies, and then doesn't come back, and then you're just sad. But just don't let that happen, and then you don't have to worry about that.
It's definitely a good feeling like when he comes back and he comes back like and he comes back like with your like second/third wave, or he just straight up is your third wave, and like both you and your opponent know that like
it's not happening again.
Yeah, it's not happening again. So like you can see your opponent kind of like internally like shift gears and be like, okay, well, like I now have to go around him. So like, what am I giving up?
Yeah. The great secret with Angron is that he actually entirely by himself enables you to take tactical, which sounds mega counterintuitive, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to go over how to play World Leaders at some other point in this, so we can cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, and then I came home. Things have been good since I've been home. I've been like, I got a metric ton of messages from like across the spectrum of the 40K community about playing World Leaders immediately. Like there was a lot of people that were just like, how did you do that?
It's great because the army, like when I played it, the army felt very similar to like now with the point cuts. It felt very similar to like the 9th edition one, just like maybe better or whatever, and you've said multiple times that it's basically like 9th edition Dark Eldar, but like now it's power armor and it comes with the big red man.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it,
Yeah, it plays like the army that I can draw the easiest parallel to it playing. Like actually, when this sounds like weird as shit, but it is Thick City. Like it has a very similar flow of like setup, noose, constrict, game's over. It just does it somehow faster than Thick City did. And then like all your Talos turn into like a big angry guy that can resurrect. That said, Talos used to resurrect too because Chronos are a stupid model and the core rule is a bad game design. But anyway, so I think the army that close, it's like the spiritual successor to Thick City, basically. And I think we're going to see a lot more World Leaders popping up all over the place. I like everyone that has like basically picked up the list and then tried it has been like, oh my god, that was so fun, I'm playing this now. So yeah,
I think especially once we start seeing like the stream games proliferate, because a lot of people, it's crazy because like you and I both played a lot of Melee. I really like when I shifted over. I like 8th edition. I played a lot of Tau, and then I played Iron Hands, and then like near the tail end of 8th edition, I like right before the lockdowns, I shifted to Bloody Rose Sisters, and then I basically been doing like Melee ever since. And then you're very similar to playing a lot of Melee, and so like a lot of the stuff that we learned in like 8th and 9th edition or whatever, it's now I think we have a whole bunch of people, because we had a whole bunch of people join the game in 9th edition, and we had a whole bunch more join in 10th edition. Right. And so there's a lot of stuff that there was a huge skill set that got chopped away in 8th edition, and another huge skill set that got chopped away in 10th edition, or the jump from 8th to 9th, 9th, 10th.
Right.
And if you weren't there for that, it's kind of hard to see like what a melee army can do. And then also we talked about in the Discord, which you guys should join if you aren't, the idea of like your tempo, like if you should be the one pressuring, or if you should be the one holding back a little bit, or when you do commit, like how to initiate correctly, how much to commit when you do initiate. And like part of that is just knowing the macro and being able to look at the board state, reading it. And like Sacco commented, that either is a very rare subset of people have the talent to just innately do that, or what most people do is they just have like hundreds of games either with their faction or with like armies that are similar to their faction, and they can just kind of like look at it and judge what's going to happen.
Yeah, the best.
But anyhow,
the best I think I've ever seen at that skill, just like innately, is actually Liam VSL, who won.
I was just about to say Liam VSL.
Yeah, he's like the world's best. I'm very good at like the aggressive, like rushing play style. Liam is like that form perfected. Like Liam and Sean, I would say, are the two that are like best at it. Where like the entire time you're playing them, you're like, yep, I know what he's gonna do. Can't do shit about this though.
Can't stop it.
Yeah.
I think as we start seeing like World Eaters get more popularized and picked up by like better and better players, or people who like have that hibernating melee skill set from like previous editions, and start putting it on the table. Like when we try to explain to people like via text and via Discord, like we're kind of like, but like when they see it on the stream, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, now I see it. Yeah, like now because they can start. I mean, we can do the telecast where we're like, okay, well, here's your 8-bound, and here's like your character, blah, 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 and like do the first, second, third wave staging, all that kind of stuff. It'll catch on.
Like, that unit of infantry went 26 inches and mulched 2 of my key units. Cool.
Yeah. But the big thing is everyone watches the front like wave. What people don't really pay attention to is like what are the transports doing in the back? What is the second wave doing? Like where's that second and third string going? You know, that's just as important.
Yeah, it's like like to borrow I'm gonna be the one making the basketball analogy today, Cliff.
Let's go.
Like people those dudes off the bench will fuck you up, man. Like those boys win games sometimes. Yeah. Like that's what it is.
Deep rotations win games, man, especially the playoffs.
Yeah. So, and that is I mean, like the end of my game with Manny was like Karn and his unit of 10 killed 2 of the accursed blocks. Because like all the support elements for the accursed blocks were gone, and they were just like finish the game, and then they got shot to death by a Forge Fiend. But like they pushed and did it. Like they face tanked one with the -1 damage strat. They killed that one down. Like next turn, flip over, charge, kill through another, and like it was huge. The ability to have units that do that towards the end of the game is a big deal. Also, like a thing that I've noticed that people keep trying to change in this list that drives me fucking insane is the 2 rhinos. Having 2 rhinos.
I thought you were going to say the 25 points. I thought you were going to say the 25 points.
No, like no. People break themselves in half trying to spend the 25 points, which is just like kind of funny at this point.
Just don't do it.
Just use both rhinos. They're so good. Like
yes,
drives me insane.
The correct list for World Eaters last edition had 2 rhinos. I don't know. Like I don't know what the sudden like whiplash is coming from.
I think people also like really overestimate how much damage the 8-bound actually do. Like they hit pretty hard, but like trading out like the Rhino and 5 of the Berserkers to get like 3 more 8-bound is not an upgrade. Like if you like actually look at what those units do, especially if they're not supported by like Angron stood next to them, which like that's not really how the list plays. It's big like hit on 3s, no rerolls hours, which is not good.
The thing is, like pretty much any melee unit in the game, 8-bound included, all it takes is like you are basically 1 armor attempt plus -1 damage away from just bouncing and dying and losing a game immediately. Like, and that's the thing people don't realize is like as we went from the stat squish from 9th to 10th edition, like -1 damage is so much rarer now because it's so insanely stronger.
Dude, it hurts so
and then
bad.
I'm surprised that armor attempt like abilities are so commonplace, because with most things in the game going to 2 damage, at least in melee, and then the lower strength values across the board, a lot of things are kind of like wounding on 1 less than they were before. Like things are wounding on 2s, now on 3s, things are on 4s, now on 5s. There's more wound rerolls in the game, but still, unless you don't have it, unless you don't,
Thankfully,
and then armor contempt. So it's like you go into something like you go like world eaters into like say like Black Templars. And it's like boom, -1 damage, armor contempt, and all of a sudden you kill like 2 dudes.
Yeah. Thankfully, eaters have some of the best ability to wound things like in the game, period. That specific thing they're really good at. But in my list, I was only playing 3 regular 8-pound. So I only had those dudes for the real wounds aura. So you gotta be real careful about where those 3 dudes go.
It's really nice though, because auras are kind of more rare in the game, and you are getting a lieutenant or even a doom aura.
Oh,
not off 1 die, off 3 guys on 40mm basis. That is insane.
Yeah, it was really good. Them supporting Angron together is very good because he gives them hit rerolls to cover their hitting on 3s-ism, and then they give him reroll 1s.
Another thing that's sneaky good about that army is that people are kind of, I think, sleeping on is the -1 damage and melee strat, combined with the fact that the Feel No Pain Blessing gives +1 to your Feel No Pain if you already have one. Those 2 combined are so incredibly strong. I don't ever really hear people talking about that, but I'm like, bro, that's good.
Dude, you very quickly turn those Exalted 8-bound turn into Artist of Flesh Grotesques and Power Armor so fast.
It's so good.
Yeah.
How many what percentage of players changing that list, Anthony, do you think have actually put the 2 rhinos on the table first?
None. Just 0. Literally none of them. Because the first time you do it, you're like, oh, my whole first wave hits you and is awful to kill. And then if you're successful, good job, congrats. Here's a whole bunch of shit you didn't even have the chance to interact with because it was in a box. But no. No one does that. They're just like, oh, I can get 3 more 8-bound if I cut these thing or whatever. It drives me insane.
If you played World Eaters in any other edition, or if you played 9th edition Drakari, or if you played Bloody Rose Sisters, you shouldn't be blinking at having 2 transports.
Understand transports,
yeah. Transports are so much better than they've ever been too. It's what are we doing?
So cheap and so durable.
Not even that. You're also just immune to getting wrapped. Basically, you don't have to pocket the CP for emergency. If someone just runs up on you and charges you, you're like, "I bitch, whatever." Anyway, you just jump out your fucking box and do whatever you want. Some of the dudes die, but who gives a shit? Both of those units are the character and some wounds, which is a sad way to have to treat Khorne Berserkers, but it is what it is.
I guess.
I mean,
Cliff,
they don't care.
I'm gonna switch gears from Rollers real quick. Cliff, what have you? Because I don't want to bury Lee too much because when we go into the tier list. But Cliff, what have you been up to?
Oh yeah, I've just been assembling models like crazy. So a few days ago, we realized that 3 Rampagers and 6 Carnivores fit inside 2,000 points, and I was immediately like, yep, I have that on deck. I'm going to go ahead and put those together now. So I'm just waiting on magnets. That's awaiting assembly. They're ready for magnets is what I'm saying. They're ready to go. So that's going to be pretty fun. And then I'm just slamming Deathwatch together in anticipation of Vanguard dropping, which is pretty exciting. I don't know. I just like Deathwatch. I'm going to send a bunch of Gravis bodies on the table and move them around and hope for the best. RTT coming up. Headed to the narrative in November. That'll be super fun.
When's the RTT? Maybe I'll go. That'd be funny.
Ooh, let's go.
And we're so close.
I know. Come in style on all of us and then hang out afterward. It'll be great.
It would be great redemption to win an RTT at Red Caps because the literal first tournament I ever went to was an RTT at Red Caps where I went 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, you got to do it then. All right. We're gonna set it up. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then just getting ready for the narrative. That's it. Chilling. 3D printing a bunch of random Deathwatch stuff to make it fit.
You can play the triple Rampager at the narrative.
I might. Triple Rampager.
All carnivores. It's very fitting.
Go. Yeah. Just go. That's it. Works crazy. Family's getting out of COVID. I escaped unscathed somehow. I don't know how. Built different, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's it. Chilling otherwise. Oh, a bunch of new dashboard stuff. We're going to roll out Elo and game count filters. So for all the people, this happened last week where someone went 3 and 2 with an Agents of the Imperium list. I don't think technically that's even legal, but it happened.
It doesn't matter.
but it also means that we had left it in. It would have been like Agents of the Imperium, 60% win rate. What is that? Like, nah, come on. And people aren't going to mouse over and see that it was 5 games, so we hit that. So I was like, yeah, we got to put this game count filter in, and then we're going to put this Elo filter in, so we can see, like, in terms of like actual skill bracketing, what does the meta look like for like mid people like myself, upper tier people like y'all, and then world class players like like Anthony, Nadens, the Lennons of the world, all those folks. Because I suspect that those metas look radically different from each other, and that different things are effective in different spaces in that bracket. I'm also thinking about making, I don't know, the Elo calcs so far look like they're like 80% accurate at predicting the right outcome in Leviathan so far, which is like pretty high, higher than I thought.
Yeah,
and
it's not a guarantee that you'll win.
Yeah. Of course not. I'm like, oh, that's like significantly higher than I thought it was. And I think there's like a little bit of space for tweaking there to like adjust probabilities and Elo gains based on like skill discrepancy between players, the win margin. Like there's like cool little stuff like that they do in football and baseball and such. So I'm gonna borrow some sports analytics stuff and see what there is to incorporate there.
Sweet, yeah. I mean, that's like the natural like step from like what we were doing with the because we were kind of like
just pure game count, or like it's big proxy energy, like.
Yeah, basically, we were proxying it with the veteran and the newcomer and everything. I think this is like, I mean, we can keep that like and kind of like couch it or something like that, but I think this is the natural evolution of that, especially as that Elo data set starts populating data, like because we're really starting to get like people like 100+ games in there now, which is where you really start seeing like it's settle.
Yeah, I know that the data set's like 237,000 games now or something crazy since we started tracking it. It's like really and like detailed and robust and rich and correct and all that stuff. It's great.
I know, I love it. Sometimes I'm just gonna say like full nerd energy. Like every time I download that Excel spreadsheet, like I like look into it and then like I go like under the hood. I'm like, oh my god, Jeremy!
I know Jeremy's going so hard. I love it.
It's so great. We need to spring together, get that guy a vacation or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna see him tomorrow, maybe definitely Friday. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So speaking of my events, we had to postpone this episode because like dad stuff happens, whatever. And like Cliff and I, like we have like a day or two usually where we can link, but it's like if we miss our spot, like we don't really get to make it like something up the next day. It like slides back at least a week. And then in my case, I was doing events, we had to slide it back like 2 weeks. So this episode was supposed to be talking about me going to Crucible, and now it's actually like coming back from Crucible, but now GW Tampa. And then I was like, well, man, like I feel like the past 2 episodes we talked about me going to events. So we brought Anthony on, and I had this concept of the Elo tier list. We're gonna do that. Crucible is dope though. That is kind of what I consider like my home event. And I know John Lennon kind of feels the same way too. It was like he's from Tampa, so it's like right down the road from him. It's right up the street from me. I brought Chaos Knights like usual. I mean, I kind of want to bring other stuff, but I've been pushing up my Elo, trying to push my Elo ranking higher for the past couple weeks. So I'm just sticking with what I have reps with and what I know. So that way I just only have to learn new matchups. I don't have to relearn a new army while I'm learning matchups. I was happy to be part of John's like hardest event run ever.
Dude, wild. Like
crazy.
Like goat shit. He messaged me and was like, congrats on your LGT performance. And I was like, fuck you, John. Congrats on your performance. What do you mean? Me? Fuck that noise. Like, holy shit.
He played first round he played someone with Necrons. I don't really know how that game went.
He taught him my battle shock is bad when you're just trying to hold objectives.
Yeah, you gotta be killing stuff. And then he played 6 Team USA / Our Wars like Stream House members. And,
Unreal.
And just not line us all up and just knocked us all down. And like we had a great game, and it was very funny because we were playing the Ritual and Hammer and Anvil. So literally we both just made an objective because you can just, the math is just right where you can place an objective. You can actually measure 9 inches from your home field objective and place an objective like just outside your deployment zone. So it's extremely safe. You don't have to go into the middle. So we both did that. And then we both started like moving like clockwise around each other. You know, and it was just like we were like just doing this. But he went first, which he didn't really want to because I was pretty safe. And he moved up and he did some stuff. He did a biowar thing. You know, good job, John. You got the secondaries. Then I went first, and I completely like just removed his zone ropes. I was like, I don't want to deal with that this game. So
No more of those.
I was like, this game's gonna be hard enough, man. So you don't get to have zone throws. Sorry. And he was like, he was. I think I actually saw like his mask like crack a little bit when my Havocs were like really like lifting up zone throws. Like, what is happening right now? The zone throws were just gone. And then I started doing the thing where like I was cleansing like 2 objectives with a single like dog, with a single set of nerdlings. He's like, stop that, stop. And then like I kind of told him, we were kind of like shit talking to each other and everything, and he was like, so we're gonna have a staring contest? I'm like, come on, John, you know it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you know better than that.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. And so next thing you know, like I don't even know where these were. Like I had to ask. I was like, bro, did these after the game? I was like, did those even start on the board? Did I just like was I a dummy and just didn't havoc them? He's like, no, they came in reserves because all of a sudden there was just like 20 gargoyles in the middle of the table. I was like, and he's like, all right, man, show me this go turn. And I was like,
damn
it. So I mean, I shot what I could. I killed like I think I killed like an X-Creen and like a Pyrovore and like fucked up a Malicept or whatever, and I'm still getting my secondaries. And
the 20 gargoyles.
Yeah, I obviously killed the 20 gargoyles, you know, but like now it was just like I was just in the middle of the board instead of like deep in his guts. And then like then he did his battle shock turn, and then like I was just getting battle shock from the Lictors, get battle shock from Death Leaper, get like Hive Tower, you know. I knew it was coming, so I was trying to put shots on the Neuro Tyrant, and he lived on 2 wounds. I was like, fuck, you know, because War Dogs are leadership 7. So like on the battle shock turn, like I'm having to pass like battle shocks on 8s.
It hurts.
So the next turn, when actually was my go turn, literally everything in my army, except for 2 War Dogs, was basically battle shocked, and including the ones behind the wall. So I was like, great, awesome. So I like walked the long way around, did no actions, obviously, walked the long way around, and like shot the shit out of him, charged and everything. But at that point, the combo of like face planting into gargoyles and then having my entire army turned off, like even though I did do a bunch of damage to him, you know, it was just like it basically felt like I showed up to the table 2 turns later than he did. And you could tell that like he was just kind of like, once he hit his 100, he was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go get some water. You just tell me what you killed afterwards. I was like, fuck you, John. Like yeah. I'm just killing monsters left and right. I'm like, this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, you know. And like finished that game 100 at like I got 84 or 78 or something like that, I don't know. And then he got 100. So and that was that. And I made a slight tweak to my list, not really because I think it's better, but just because I'm trying to get like best overall at Tampa. And I wanted to put the changeling on my list because he's really well painted. And I made a display board today. I've been running around this afternoon to build a display board. It's done.
It's looking good, man.
It's so sick.
Looking great.
Yeah, I'll take pictures. If you're in the Discord, you've seen pictures of it. But so I just swapped in a bunch of carnivores to free up the points, and I went down to 1 unit Nurglings. So it's 5 carnivores, 6 brigands, stalker. I got the sticky objective out here. I'm like, get out of here. Took a unit Nurglings instead. Changeling and blue scribes. And yeah, that's it. So as we talked about, we were going to be doing the low tier list. So I figured, you know, I don't want this. Anthony's got to get up early in the morning. I'm going to jump right into that. Let me figure out.
I mean, don't beat yourself up too much. There's like decent odds I end up playing another Cyberpunk mission before I go to bed.
Yeah, okay.
He's in it.
That game is so fucking good. I bought that game. There's like I did a screenshot of this. There's like a screenshot of me asking Typhus if I should buy the game like exactly a week ago today, and I have 47 hours in it, which is not a healthy interaction with the thing that I bought just to do when I'm bored.
Oh, good. You're having the most fun with it right now.
Oh, it's so good. Like game has taught me that if it was an option, I would just be robot.
Yeah. You got me to download that game. I was like, I will try it out after Tampa. Also, in the meantime, I I know we're just terrible at getting sidetracked on this show. I also
That's the point.
re-download. I mean, I've already paid for it, but I re-downloaded the Master Chief Collection. I'm like, you know what? I haven't done it in a long time. I want to do it again. I just want to play the entire thing through,
The
like
full
the
run.
entire thing. Halo 1, just put on like heroic. I don't have time for legendary anymore. Just put on heroic and go all the way through.
Dude, I don't think I ever had reflexes for that, and I used to fight. Like,
I mean, it's just so much like I know Cliff knows I'm talking about. Just a lot of nostalgia. Like if you're in the upper 30 crowd.
Yeah.
Cool. So basically, some of you guys may be saying like, Tim, what is a low elo tier list? So again, this is something that I'm kind of pulling over from my League of Legends experience from like, like 15 years ago. It's been interesting seeing that game evolve, the commentary and like the way, like the mechanics and strategy and everything, and just the punditry and all that kind of stuff. And it definitely feels like that's where Warhammer's going. Now, no matter how well you play the game, ultimately the game, where you play at a casual level, where you play at a high level, the ultimate game is to have fun. But it is important, and it is, for most people that go to tournaments, it is pleasing to try to learn your mechanics and learn like the strategies of the game or whatever. But also, sometimes you don't want to really be fighting your army or being frustrated while you're doing that. So there's a lot of tier lists on YouTube out there for like League of Legends. A lot of them say like, hey, low elo tier list or high elo tier list. And basically, if you are kind of in the lower leagues, like if you're trying to get like to diamond, that's a common goal for a lot of people. I'd say the equivalent of diamond would be like someone who consistently goes 4-1 or greater at like a GT or major. So it's a big benchmark for people. So like consistently going 4-1, and then the next help is usually winning your first GT. And that is a super attainable goal, even if you have like wife, kid, jobs, whatever. It does take work though. And a lot of times it will require you to maybe not run like the fluffy stuff, or not run like your pet faction, because you don't have as much time, as a lot of these guys that are, doing coaching for a job or whatever. So if you really want the TLDR, most of the stuff is just going to be, hey, this army either stats checks people, or this army just has tons of undercosted shooting. But I mean, I don't want to like try to be like the Art of War like wizard at the tower and tell you like, oh, you gotta like, you gotta set up your kill zone, blah blah blah. If you spam undercosted shooting and stand on objectives, like you will like do well at events usually, as long as you don't
undercosted shooting units, cheap mission play units. Those are the combination that makes winning games easy.
Yep, exactly. And then also, like I said, if you don't, me personally is my preference, like I also like to lean a little bit more into like raw power, rather than like having submission scoring stuff is good, especially if it's like insanely cheap, like super MSU stuff, like 25, 30 point units.
Just cheap, fast. That's the two components you're looking for. Like something in the like 60 to 100 point range that just like goes like way the fuck over there and does the tactical card you didn't play around.
And all right, so we're gonna start first of all with Adeptus Mechanicus, and I am going to give this the benefit of the doubt. I want to put this down in D. I'm gonna put it in C. It does have a lot of shooting, but just the army is just like, it has a badge attachment rule right now, and it's just you're gonna be playing the game on hard mode trying to make this work right now. And you guys just
have
please add something. They do have good data sheets. Like, they're cheap as shit right now too. They got plenty of points.
Yeah, they're really inexpensive.
Yeah, so like they're like almost there, but I think that's what C tier is for, right? Like that's the point. I think they're like, you're gonna need a bunch of reps with them. This army is also like, again, for like low elo where you're like trying to maximize like your time investment. AdMech is like a really wide range that's really expensive. And it's like very difficult to have all of it, and you seem to need all of it at different points in it being good. So
me personally, I'm just going to assume that you have access, like everyone here, just for the sake of simplicity, that we have access to the whole collection.
Sure, but it's a non-zero part of it, right? Like
for sure, absolutely.
You're a hobby lag real with AdMech.
Yeah, especially in the context of like, we're on Eximon, right? Like you guys are your dads, you guys got shit, going on. Like this is not a good army for that.
The expensive models plus like we don't know how to fix the faction. Let's just gut the points. Is like That could be like kind of like a rough
Suboptimal.
solution.
Yeah, it's not awesome.
All right, this next one, this is going to be a hot take. I am actually going to put Eldari. If you caught me like 2 months ago, I would have put them up here for this. I'm actually going to put them here.
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
For the
fast
purpose
scoring,
of
cheap, undercosted output.
yeah, but it's real easy to get Eldar wrong now. Like spinners are
Yes.
funny until you spinner like the wrong things, and then like your target
Oops.
priority is not perfect, and then like you botch the incarn or something. Like it's easy to get this wrong and have it not be S tier anyway. You get it wrong, and you still go like 4 and 2 or whatever. But like, you know, that's about where that goes.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of people that were getting like just hard carried by the faction are pivoting off it in favor of some of the other stuff on this list.
Yeah.
But yeah, like absolutely, like Eldar, they are starting to actually run to like the it's easy to make like a bad list, or it's easy to make, I don't want to say a bad list, but like the incorrect list, because you don't get to have everything anymore. You have to make real consequential choices and list building with actual like knock-on effects. That's going to have, if you make a real decision and then you go play a 5-round event, like you are going to be living with that, you know, all the way through. And if you get it wrong, like you're already kind of like a half foot back, you know. And the factions are getting, Eldar is still the best faction overall, but the factions are getting much closer together.
Yeah.
Cool.
agree.
The next one, my own personal was what I'm gonna look for, sweetheart. I don't know. Pet faction, I guess. Chaos Knights. I'm kind of thinking, I want to just be super biased, put them up here, but they're not. I think they're kind of like, I think they're like kind of like right here, honestly, just a little bit behind Eldar. They are high toughness. We lost Cliff. We'll be back in a bit.
Down he goes.
This happens every single episode. So everyone talks about how they're SKU-less, and they think when they hear the SKU, they think it's the high toughness. It's not. It's the speed that's the SKU, in my opinion. Everything moving 12 to 14 and going through walls is huge. The army, realistically, War Dogs should probably be OC 5, and for whatever reason, they're like 8, OC 8. You know, so that is also huge, and that's probably their biggest strength. Everyone thinks about the toughness and the guns and the melee. It's really the fact that they move so much OC around so fast. You can't really. It's extremely hard to screen.
Yeah. Tim, you've said before that it's a board control army masquerading as an output in an output trench coat.
Yeah, basically, it's a board control army in a SKU trench coat, essentially. In one of my games at Crucible, the guy was like trying to he was just. I went first, and I didn't really try to take it. Yeah, I shot some Havoc launchers at him or whatever, just kind of like needled him a little bit of some of his mission playing elements. But there was a very safe ruin that was opened. It was on his side of the board, but it was the crook of it was pointed towards me, and it was extremely safe because we were also like kind of like we're on a hammer anvil, but he had deployed kind of in the corner, so I knew he wasn't really going to be able to get angles on it. I think there was like maybe like a Redemptor over there or something like that, and so I had 2 carnivores that were kind of like aimed right at it, and I hit a 6 on the one advance, I hit a 5 on the other advance, and they're both like, now they're in the chamber. And he basically just tried, and I like we talked about it, like that I could go through walls and stuff like that, and he set up like this crazy huge screen and everything, you know. And then the very next turn, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pop Terror Shades, and one carnivore went through his entire army and jumped on his one and only veteran squad. With the Watchmaster on it. The other one jumped over his entire army, went onto a Demolisher on his home field objective. I was trying to charge. I was going to pop it again because this is a 2 CP strat because I basically did Terror Shades in the movement charge phase. I was trying to jump over it, kill the Demolisher. Next Shade. I was trying to like jump over it and then tag the Gladiator that was over there. That didn't work, and like the Demolisher lived on like 3 wounds. But then it failed Battle Shock the very next turn, and so I just Terror Shaded it, and he got a 0 primary because I'd also charged to bring him into a unit of infiltrators to like that. So like turn 2, Amiya 0 primary. His veteran squad was like, it was like one dude in the Watchmaster. He had a carnivore on his home objective, another carnivore was like behind a wall. Like it was like the board state was like immediately fucked up.
That'll do it.
But it was just but that was it. It was like as you move through walls and you move all that OC around, like it's not the shooting, it's not the melee, it's that.
Yeah, I think that if you could convince every Chaos Knight player in the world to play all War Dogs, that they would be S tier for this, but that's not like the reality of the situation, and thus
True.
into A they
The,
go.
the big knights are super cool. People like them. I mean, I
Get it?
can't super fault them for
That's
that.
fair.
Also, there's not really like a lot of like list adjustment you can do. Like I think people argue like till they're blue in the face about like different data sheets or whatever, trying to like find like the optimal after you run 6 brigands, the optimal list of like huntsmen or carnivores or whatever. Like
That's my
but
favorite part of Chaos Knight's list writing is that people put like 6 brigands in and they're like, what should I do about this last 1,000 points or whatever? It's like, okay, dude.
I wish I could say it really matters. It's kind of like, do you want more thermals? Or do you want more speed? And that's about the end of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's really a wrong choice either. And then you sprinkle in like 150, 200 points of demons, and away you go.
Yeah, off to the races.
But no, it's good. It's just an army that fundamentally plays Warhammer very well, and I think more so than in previous editions. If you play all small dogs, this is actually an extremely good army for just learning to play fundamental Warhammer, because you can't really go down the rabbit hole unit choices. You're kind of like, okay, well, you learn about protecting your own primary. I'm going to put two dogs, or like on every single objective that I want to hold on my side of the board. Okay, what's he going to score next turn? Is he going to score 10? Is he going to score 5? Is he going to score 15? How do I change that by 5? Like, do I have my secondaries like set up, whatever, and it's forgiving mistakes because you have the speed and you have durability. And then also there's the tempo. Like, do I want to push, or is the clapback too much? Do I want to hide behind walls and then go through them instead of going around them? This will actually teach you the fundamentals of Warhammer very well in 10th edition, I think, which is why I put it in A tier.
I think
it's just a strong army.
They're just good right now.
Yep. Necrons, man, I'm kind of thinking they didn't really materialize like we thought they would after the data slate. I think people just gotten so used to the play pattern, and they are slow. And Battle Shock is starting to matter more now.
I think,
but they
punish mistakes pretty intensely too. Like you can't. Yeah.
I think in Low-Elo they're definitely A tier.
I think so. Like, I'm totally down. I'm totally down to put them up here.
Yeah, like they might be towards like the back end or whatever, but like again, we're talking like Low-Elo, bro. Like if people are showing up like not prepared, like if Necrons actually get to be immortal, you just lose to them. Like if you didn't show up with answers to warrior bricks, or like you don't play it correctly and precision the characters, again, you don't have like the experience level required to like, okay, like this guy's on immortal end to OC 60 in one unit. How do I go around that? Like if those are not all true, then it's real easy for Necrons to be like, yep, surprise, you literally can't win.
Yep. The only reason I'm kind of hesitant to put them in A, we can put them at the end of A for now. I kind of still want to put them at the top of B. And then it's me personally, my own anecdotes, but again, Low-Elo, I've seen crazy things happen. The other thing is that their win rate for veterans is 39%, obviously pretty low. For newcomers, it's 49%, which is good. There's a lot of stuff that's on this list, and a lot of stuff we're going to get to where like newcomer win rate is like up in the mid to high 50s and low 60s. But I'm going to put them here at the bottom of A. I think when we start putting some other stuff here, I think these guys might end up getting bumped down to here as we start seeing these other stuff.
Again, like I don't afraid of Necrons, but I've never afraid of an army that's like, oh, you can't kill me, because I'll just like take things that make that false.
For sure. Of course. But like I said, it is a stat. It is probably like the OG stat check army, and like honestly, if you are trying to climb like Low-Elo, which like if you are trying to, I think this like applies to two different people. Either people that are like 3-2 and trying to make the jump to 4-1 or 4 consistently, or people that are just are struggling to go positive event, and they're just trying to like basically get carried a little bit to like that positive record.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Necrons. I think if you play well, Necrons can give you kind of that positive record or 4-1 on the strength of their stat checks. But you do kind of pay for it with the power budget, with their movement being so slow and they're so predictable, and their damage output is like not that great. Chaos Space Marines. I'm inclined to put this one kind of here. I've seen a lot of people do some goofy stuff with Chaos Space Marine lists, but we are starting to see people generally stop taking nonsense and start taking the good data sheets. And even though they kind of like sometimes run these like weird kind of confused chimeras of like your list or Liam VSL's list or whatever, they still are starting to take like the good things. We're not seeing like nonsense like Zinch obliterators or stuff like that. We are starting to see like the one undivided, like good shooting unit, one Nurgle shooting unit, one undivided Nurgle shooting unit. We're starting to see Abaddon with Terminators. We're starting to see like the little more peripheral stuff like the Demon Allies, the Lone Ops, even Slash Warp Talons.
I think what trips up CSM is that it's really easy to build a really bad CSM list. And it's like small decisions will cripple your shit. Like I've had $1 for every Zinch Obliterator unit that I've seen. It's just like stop doing that. Please stop doing that. You're not going to get to resurrect one, or if you do, it's not going to matter. I promise. So CSM is obviously like I think they're honestly like across skill brackets they're one of the best armies in the game. But you know it's easy to feed with it a little bit. And I think that the ultimate like goal with it, like again, I think it's like really good if people would just like again, this is like similar to the CK thing, if people just like would copy the proven list.
Don't get cute.
Yeah, it would work great. Like if you just play fucking Liam's list, you're gonna be on the money. But I also
I love that list so much. I mean, your list was good. I liked you playing your list, but like I saw Liam's list, I'm like, fuck, I love this list.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just a matter of if you want the MSC or not, right? Like I don't know. Like this is also like couched a little bit in a hot take of mine that you shouldn't write your own list until you've won a GT.
Yeah, there's something to be said there. I mean, there's definitely fun for like writing your own list and like going like just having a fun time.
It's
a like
super hot take, but I'm very firmly of the opinion that if you're like only purpose, like your main focus is like trying to get better, that's like one of the first pieces of advice I give to like coaching clients. I'm like, hey, bro, we're gonna take this proven thing. You can play this proven thing for a while. Because we don't need the added X factor of like, is this list good on top of like trying to make you better, at least early.
Yeah. Well, it's also like any kind of a science experiment or whatever. You want to control all the variables
as much as I physically can.
Yeah. So you need to control your own variables. Also, the more that you just show up with a proven good thing, you can focus more on working on your fundamentals, which is a huge thing. I see people talk about like all going down the rabbit hole on like Math Hammer and this or these crazy like scenarios. I'm like, has this scenario actually happened to you? Like, there's no way this has happened, right? But they're not doing like fundamental stuff, right? And then also something that just WTC and teams experience kind of like really drove home is like there's a huge amount of power in just knowing your matchups, and it was kind of like a well done moment for me. Because in League of Legends, like when you go to any guide for like a champion or whatever, after they have like the builds and like the alternate builds and like the general play style and just like kind of like how to like press your buttons, you know what they have after that, and it's like a half of the entire guide matchups.
Yep.
And I think it applies to both competitive games.
For the people that here don't write your own list until you win a GT, who are like, what the hell, Anthony? What are you talking about? To clarify, if you are interested in going and attempting to win a GT yourself, you have not done that before, that is what you should do. If you are not interested in doing that for whatever reason, as I stare at 3 assembled, waiting to be magnetized rampagers on my table, that's fine. That's not for you. Like, just know that, like, if you are actually trying to go and win an event, go 4-1, hit that 5-0 plateau, like, just net list. It's cool. No one will judge you. Everyone does it.
Net listing as like a thing people judge other people for is not real. Like people that do that should be mocked. Like, yeah, bro, I'm playing the good thing because we're at a tournament that was really expensive to go to. What are we doing right now?
I mean, if you want to take weird stuff, that's fine. But like this show might not be for you because I mean, anyone could write a podcast about how to like not have enough time to play Warhammer and like, go to an event and lose. Like we're trying to actually like make
Bro, there's lots of those. You can go watch most of the other content about 40K actually is that.
Yeah.
All right, Custodes. I'm gonna put this one. I'm so conflicted. It's definitely not C. B's looking kind of empty. I really kind of want to put it above
Dude, they
Crons.
have to go.
I don't know.
There is
I
no
wanna put it
planet
here.
those boys are in A. They might be top.
No,
of C.
they might be top of C now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The combination. I'm thinking about a combination of like hobby. The stakes are pretty punishing with them now.
Dude, if you get shot in the face by a Dev Wound Fortune,
Yeah.
he'll kill 2,000
Yeah.
points by himself.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's rough. I do think that this is probably not the best army for. Honestly, like we're gonna like refocus at the end of this tier list. Basically, the idea is that if you're trying to climb Elo, or you're trying to like go from a negative record to a positive record, or if you're trying to go from a positive record to a consistent 4-1 record, maybe reach for that 5-0, you really should probably be playing stuff in the A and S tier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really trying to chase that 4-1 5-0, but like you're kind of like you're punching up in skill level wise. Like when you get there, then you really should probably just take an S tier. So when we go B tier and below, like a lot of those conversations is actually going to be kind of academic. Because it's really not going to matter, because we're just going to immediately crop this. We're going to crop and screenshot just A and S. But like for the sake of conversation, we'll talk. I do think there's something
which look very different. Then it's like slam the brick on the table, no sell anything melee, live forever.
Not for nothing. If as world leaders, I play against some dude that like didn't get the memo and took 3 units of Alaris, like I'm not in a great spot.
There is, I'm talking with Stefan from Austria a little bit. There is some play, I think. There's still a little bit of life left. I think some Custodies players have still found that will live.
He just did quite well at LG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and we were talking. He was my first opponent at War Masters. We had a great game, and he was doing back then. He was doing the MSU with characters list, and I liked it a lot. And he's like, I think like when nerfs happen, and they will, he's like, I'm kind of already ready because this is what I'm going to pivot to. I'm like, I can see it. So yeah, I think it's a decent army to learn with, because the feedback loop is more immediate than most armies, and there is something to be said for that. But as far as actually climbing, I think there's definitely stuff you can be doing better. There's definitely stuff you can be doing worse. So I'm going to put it like right there in the middle of B.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
That seems right.
All right. Next one, Chaos Demons. Yeah, I'm gonna put them down here. I'm sorry. I know you can stand.
Unlucky.
I love demons, and I just don't like this army. It kind of every single time a rule set drops to this army, I'm kind of always like waiting with bated breath. I'm like, oh, is this the cohesive book, or is this the written by 4 different people who've never read the book?
Dude, the ninth.
This is the latter.
The 9th edition codex that somehow had like 4 rules was insanely good the entire time it existed, because the 4 rules that they had slammed.
Yeah.
And instead we get this.
Wait, can I play? I'm going to play devil's advocate for Chaos Demons real quick, because if you go to if you look at the dashboard, you look at newcomers versus newcomers, which again is a proxy. It's not necessarily representative of Elo, but like it comes about as close as we possibly can, because all those folks are 1,500, have 1,500 ratings to start. They're like 52% win rate.
I mean, they win
around 50% of their people win three games out of like 5 game events.
So counter to the counterpoint, because I did see that, and I was kind of willing to put them a little bit higher when I was doing like the pre-show prep, but then I looked at the veteran win rate, which normally doesn't factor into this type of thing. The veteran win rate isn't 50%. It's not 40%. It's 17%.
Oh, no. They're bad at upper tier play, like real bad.
So what that is telling me is like, I don't want to be the guy to extrapolate between 2 data points, but if we just go linear, it is straight down as soon as the opponent has any idea what's going on.
That is
pre-slate.
I know. So 21 games played. So that's like low.
Dog. That's how many wins is that in 21 games?
41. God, like 6, 7.
It is.
No, they had a 17% win rate. He said, didn't he?
Yeah, 17% win rate out of 41 games. Yeah,
17. It's rough. Pre-data slate, pre-data slate, you could run like Monster Mash and supplement it with.
Yeah, I lost to this pre-data slate, right? I lost to them WGC. Like
no, like that was a good. That was like a
Yeah.
decent. It wasn't the best stat checklist in the game, but it was a good one. It was a very good one because it had the right combination of pressure with just enough durability to keep that pressure up. It had like some decent tools like indirect, vect, CP regen, stuff like that. But then it also had cheap mission scoring stuff, like just run around and grab all your points.
Real talk, like
Demons, it was
Demon
good.
stratagems are great, but their data sheets are costed like they have Eldari rules on them, and they don't. They have Demons rules on them.
So the big issue is that GW tried to internally rebalance the book, like with just points, without really looking at the deeper level stuff.
Yeah.
So they brought down the good stuff and made the good stuff like decent, and then they they gave points to the awful stuff, but it didn't like it didn't get good enough to make it didn't make a difference. You still don't want to take it, so you just you're stuck on networks. Now I'm gonna give a shout out because we were talking about this kind of in like hot takes a while ago. You can kind of lean into like a heavy corn style list. I'll be honest, in my opinion, it feels like you're just playing worse World Eaters, much worse World Eaters. But there is a little bit of play there. I still think though, like if you're doing that, you're just trying to prove a point. You're not actually like trying to like get carried by an army, which is what this tier list is. So I still think for the purposes of this tier list, which is you showing up, you rub your 2 brain cells together, and you get carried by the list you submitted, I'm putting them in D tier for this. For that purpose. You can win events with them, you can win games with them, but like they're not going to hard carry you like a lot of this other stuff will.
They won't even soft carry you. They're like the Demons models will be present while you win games of Warhammer. That's what happens with that army.
All right.
Is there an E?
I'll be honest, man. No, I mean we're really cutting hairs here. I'm gonna put him here because you're gonna win at least 2 games you shouldn't if you're running double Void Raven and all the ranches go to God. It ends after that though. It does end after that. Also, when we're splitting hairs in D tier, it's like, what are we doing, bro?
Yeah, that army.
It's just trash. It's trash down there.
Yeah, I don't like. I could not care less what order these are in. All right, Death Guard. I'll be honest. I've messed around with them a little bit post slate. I think they're decent. I don't think they go into A tier.
No, I think they're in B mostly because I need to see list design come together for them a little bit more still. I feel like we're still.
It seems pretty spread out. It's not optimized.
I just feel like every time someone tells me all the things I need to be afraid of in a Death Guard list, I put it in the app, and then it's like 5,000 points, and I'm like, all right, well, cool, but like, what actually though? Like
also what you need to be afraid of like changes based on who you're talking to, and then like if you start drilling down and asking how many games they have with it, they're just getting like, well,
a couple.
Yeah.
They just changed the subject. You're like, okay, so this is theory.
I will say a thing that people are for certain sleeping on or seem to be sleeping on in that army is just putting the fucking flamers on the PBCs and driving them forwards from the front.
I like that better than entropy cannons.
Dude, I think people are stuck in like the entropy cannons is the best gun from last edition. It is not anymore.
It's fine. It's a last cannon.
If you have the minus
one
save contagion,
you can skirmish. Yeah. Oh yeah, when you do the -1 save, like those flamers slam a little bit. It lets you like go up and push up and skirmish a little bit because no one's afraid of a Death Guard army where it's like the copy paste 3 play burst crawlers and they sit the back all fucking game. And
especially
then like
even after the game
is
Mortarion to them back there. It's like there's 800 points in a backfield and you walk at 4 inches, bro. What are we doing? Like
yeah, and then they just manage and they just kind of weather the storm of fire from the plague burst crawlers while they just table the rest of your army that's actually playing the game. So next you know, like you're in a 20-30 point hole, but you're still firing those plague burst crawlers from your deployment zone. It's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
No, I like the push of skirmish. I think there is. It's also one. You're right. We need to see like the list coalesce a little bit, but like there is
happen yet.
When they layer. I do like the pushing build. Like the ones I was running was a lot of Terminator characters, a lot of Death Shrouds, Mortarion, and the Plague Burst Crawlers, and some Nerdlings, and that was about it. It felt decent. Goodbye, Cliff. We'll see him in a little bit. He hates StreamYard for this reason. It's him and his internet.
If nothing else, though, it's funny.
It is funny.
He's
Welcome back, Cliff. We've already explained it.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, Death Guard. I think Death Guard has kind of like found the will to live a little bit. I wouldn't recommend it for like hard pushing, but like I think you could. Oh, this feels fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're good enough that they got Fox to come back to the game. So yay!
Nice. Yeah, I like them. They got me to dig my the box, the army that I bought like 6 months ago, and immediately just went into the garage. I actually brought it out and like unboxed it and inventoried it and started painting it. Yeah. Okay, next one. Been waiting for this. Please vote here. Right to the top.
Jesus.
Right to the top.
Probably the best, honestly, for this.
Like they're legit. Yeah.
Okay, so hot take time. If you're running Zerkers, don't. If you're running land forts, don't.
No.
Congrats. You now have like one of the best armies, arguably the best army in the game. It's kind of why I wrote the title for this Rock and Stone, because I've been wanting to talk about Votan for so long. The secret's kind of like starting to get out, but it caught all of it. When we did that hot take thing in the data slate, it was a blind spot for all of us. But like having seen it on the table, I'm like, it's good. It's not overpowered. It's just good. It has way too many points. Okay, well, it doesn't feel like Elder overpowered. It doesn't feel super broken. Sagitar feel real cheap, but God, it shoots good.
Real
it's
cheap
like,
and real tough. Real fast.
When they are shoving like the Thunderkin and the Grimnir and the Halls and the Champions, you know, and then the Terminators, and you're just like dealing with all this stuff, and you're like it's like durable, but like not durable, but it's like just durable enough, and it shoots like a lot, you know, and then like stuff's just like dying left and right, you know, and getting double exploding sixes and shit's going crazy. And then before you realize it, like you're like in a 30-point hole in primary because these like Sagittars of like 5 dudes have just been like running around scoring all the points in secondaries. Like that's the only army I've seen that can like apply pressure, dominate primary while also doing cleanse and homers every turn reliably. It's insane.
It makes me irate in new and exciting ways every time I look at the Sagittар datasheet and realize that it's like OC3 instead of 2 like a Rhino. Like what the fuck? What? Why?
And then like it shoots kind of like weirdly hard too. Like when you look at it,
super hard. That's
when you look at and like
las cannon.
Yeah. I was okay. So like I like the beam. I know like there's some argument about it, but I'm like bro, beam. The beam's good. The sustained D3, and then you have the bolter up front. You know, and it's got sustained as 2, but it's also twinly, so it rerolls wounds. So kind of like it can kind of you'll live. Like I'm playing against like my CK against it, and all of a sudden like it shoots me, and like it high rolls a little bit. And I low roll my saves. Next, you know, I'm like alive on 2 wounds. I'm like, okay, woo, save. He's got nothing else to shoot me over here. And he's like, oh, here come the twinly cannons, and I die. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like,
make some saves.
Yeah. The only thing is that army doesn't have rerolls, and I hear everyone complain about it. But I'm like, bro, please just shut up. You're playing with like 500. You're playing with like 2,500 points. That's your rerolls. You have 500 extra points. You know, like.
Also, let's not apply rerolls to the slot machine cannon. Let's not do that.
Please.
The starting with 4 tokens, the four double tokens, essentially 8 tokens, because it's 4 double token things, is really good because it helps them get that extra CP right out the gate. Because they're like, usually they do some combo of like putting in like 2 or 3 important things, and then they'll put like let's say like I have some Nurglings or whatever that are deployed like infiltrator. Like, okay, I'll just put on the Nurglings, you know, like. And so they'll put on like 1 or 2 mission things and like 1 or 2 important things to kind of like get that ball rolling.
What do those tokens do for the uninitiated?
So the tokens give you +1 to hit for 1 token, +1 to wound if you have 2 tokens. But more importantly, they turn on a lot of their strats and a lot of their rules are keyed on those tokens.
Gross.
Yep. So it's I don't know if there's anything else, Anthony, you want to add about this army, but like it just plays the game insanely freaking good, and the core of that is the core of that I think is like the 20 Terminators and at least like 4 Sagittars with dudes inside.
The only thing I'll push back on is that Berserks are actually really good. The Berserks with the hammer are bananas because they have a strat that is +2 AP when you have 2 tokens in melee, and Berserks innately are 9/2/3. So with +2 AP for those of you at home is rough to get hit by.
The issue I've seen with them is they're so much easier to kill than they used to be.
They are
So
easier to kill than they used to be. They are still like you have to like remove Zergs from what they were and look at them as they are. They're also hilariously cheaper than they used to be, right? They're like half the cost of what they were in ninth, because they're not priced around being Ymir. And like, yeah, that unit's good. Like, and they have a Thunderfire cannon in the unit just for shits and grins.
oh yeah, the little mole launcher.
Dude, that thing is fucked up into certain armies. Like, so yeah, like Leagues of Votann are very, very good. That's the only unit that I would like say, like, hey, like actually that is worth considering. Like, it's very viable to do like 20 kin, 10 Zerks, in 6 Sagittar with your 20 Terminators and some amount of Thunderkin and whatever. Like, I just like Votann, like kind of like you were saying with Eldar earlier, like they have to make choices now. Votann don't. Votann take like skew build plus like
they take a skew build and they staple a mission plane build right onto the side.
Yeah, just like right with it. You just don't give a shit. It's like, okay,
here's my skew list. Here's my 2,000 point skew list, and here's my 1,000 point scoring detachment that's staple on it.
They are certainly the easiest army on this list to win a tournament with.
Yeah, they're very good. Again, there's a little bit of a hobby issue, but if you can borrow or if you're willing to go outside conventional channels for models, you could probably make something happen.
Yeah, one great lead indicator for the strength of this faction, the Low-Elo tier list, is how quickly they changed fortune after the Data Slays. They were essentially dead last across most of the metrics that we track.
Oh yeah, they were
and like shot up in 4 weeks to like, oh, you're like the best now. In fact,
yeah,
that's a pretty strong indicator that that army is carrying some folks in a pretty strong way.
It is bananas. And I played it and I played against it, and I'm like, this is just good. It's just a good army.
Good.
It just kind of does everything. And again, being able to just straight up, like, you can play tactical. That army can play tactical great. But like I said, you can also just literally just stand on objectives, shoot the ever living piss out of your opponent, you know, and they get they get punished for dealing with you, and then you just max cleanse and homers like it's nothing, you know. And you just do that over and over and over again. And also the best part of, like, an aside, I want to say, because I think when I first kind of like cleared my first plateau, like when I was improving, was really when I came back to the game, like end of 7th edition, start of 8th edition. And then I was grinding the axe with Tal forever. And then I made the jump to Iron Hands because they were just good. And then I immediately got carried up. And then I started just paying attention to, like, when I started getting paired with the good players, when I started getting paired with like the players whose names I recognize and stuff like that or whatever, watching what they did to pull a victory out of that game when they were clearly running a worse army than I was, like, that's where I really learned like how to actually like play competitive. And that should be the goal of these. Like, when you run some of these, like an S tier, A tier, there's a good chance you're gonna have a better army than your opponent. If your opponent's better than you, they still might beat you, but you're gonna walk away from that game with a lot. All right, Grey Knights. Man, I'm gonna put these.
B.
They're better than D, but I'm putting them like C. You think B?
Hard.
I would put them in D. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put them in C. I'm gonna split the difference between you and put them in C. You just have to work. So Anthony said it great. You play. It was either Anthony or John said that you
Innis
play more. Was it Innis
that said it? Innis was the first person to say it, and then I just echoed him.
Well, go ahead and say it again.
Yeah, you play the most Warhammer for the least results as Grey Knights. Like, you drop in, you shoot, you psychic, this, that, your opponent moves, and then you miss the demos, you wrap it in, blah, blah, all this shit happens, and then you score 50 points and lose. Like, it's like, okay.
If you want to know what it's like to play 20 rounds of Warhammer in a 5-round GT, like, bring Grey Knights to an event, and you'll see. Like,
they also just like don't reward you at all for the effort.
I'm hearing D.
It's not good. Like,
I'm fine. Like, let's just move on. They have a cool rule set. However, they're just not going to carry you at all. Like, if anything, they're going to cause you to win games that you at your skill level should be winning. They're just going to cause you to lose those games.
Tim, I'm going to introduce you to a term from Hearthstone that used to come up a bunch when people would do set reviews. One streamer got like really famous for it. I used to watch him a lot. So he would like review cards and like, like you said, Grey Knights has cool rules, right? There was like, he would go over cards and be like, this is S tier, this is A tier, B tier, D tier. Most of the set though would fall into a tier called good art. And that is what Grey Knights is. They have cool art.
Great art. Great art.
Anyway,
we can literally make a tier just call it cool models.
Cool rules or something.
Yeah. Great
model.
B.
B.
I think B.
Gotta be B.
B or D? What do you guys think?
B.
You think B? Interesting.
Throw grenades, make the enemy go away.
Look, you can take like 2 acolyte squads and then take 2,000 points divided by Bomba, and like
just like you can literally just take 6. Especially
and
with people have lost their mind on rulings with GSC lately, with like one-shot weapons coming back and one-shot weapons being usable out of transports and shit. Like, just throw the grenades. Stop trying to do cute shit. Stop taking extra shit. Don't do that. Just throw like the grenade in your hand and throw it at the oppressors.
Spam under costed shooting. Yeah.
None units.
I'm telling you, man. Like, if you just want to like win, like it's like that meme with like the bell curve, and it has like the dummy guy in the one end and like the Jedi guy in the other end, and the guy like flying arguing in the middle. It's like I have a picture I post all the time, and both sides, the smart guy and the dumb guy, are just saying spam on the Constitution.
Just throw the grenades. Stop fucking around.
Here you go. Spam Bomba.
The place where I go B is because I don't think if you're, I don't know. Let's assume that people are going to net list appropriately and not be crazy.
This is the only edition I would have ever considered playing GSC in. At no point in me playing the game prior to right now would I have played GSC. But right now, I would do it.
I'll be honest, if I was going to play GSC right now, I would probably just like run just trucks and acolytes. And that's it. Because you just throw the bombs. And the reason why I like trucks is because you're gonna like, especially when you're not like, trying to like turbo like Giga Brain, like Jedi Mind Trick the meta at the top levels or whatever, you're gonna run into some weird shit at the mid and low tables, and you're gonna play against like a big boy time list, and all your shit's in reserve, and he's just pulling the line, and he goes first, and now he's in the middle of the board, and you don't really have a way to like get to the middle of the board and stick to the board, so to speak. Like you throw some bombas, but then you immediately get wiped, and you just don't ever really establish that presence. Whereas if you have like a bunch of trucks, you can start doing the activation locking thing, and now you can have trucks behind a wall, and then on your go turn, the trucks come out, they firing deck bombas, guys disembark bombas, guys come out of reserve bombas, and now you can all of a sudden exactly, and now you have a way to actually like kind of establish that presence or whatever, and so you don't really see trucks in like the higher like list or whatever. But like if I was trying to like just do it, I'll be honest, I would probably take like 3 or 4. No, maybe not that many, but like 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, because it just gives you like those harder games where you're still kind of like learning the game, you're still trying to climb. It gives you that entry point to the middle of the board that you need to actually make like a tenable board state.
Yep.
Okay, Astra Militarum. The stats aren't loving these guys, but I'm gonna be honest, I think these guys are at least B, because I think it just gives you, they have such cheap stuff, and I think you can just kind of pin your opponent on their side of the board while you just indirect the ever-living shit out of them.
Shoot guys, yeah.
You don't get both of those anymore, though, with the nerfs to the indirect cost.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, I think they go in C.
I think as people catch up to like, Sentinels are good, I should use more of these.
There's like a lot of stuff you like can do with guard, but from the purpose, like I'm trying to think of like a low, like like a man on the come up, right? Like a person on the grind trying to do the things. You're putting a lot of work into something that's not putting the work back into you. And guard.
True.
I don't think it's really
good. I can see that. Okay, Imperial Knights. These guys I think are still. I know Anthony doesn't like them. I'm gonna put them up a little bit higher than Anthony probably wants me to put them. I think you can still just big boy time people with this shit.
You can.
I think you're kind of. I think. You can still do kind of the big guys. It's harder than it used to be.
Very terrain dependent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna put them at A, but it's gonna be no matter what's in A. I think I'm gonna probably put it at the end of A. And like I know people are gonna come in here like no, like we're gonna summon like Noah from like the Warp or something like that. He's gonna be like, well, actually, but like, well, fuck you, Noah. No offense. This list isn't for you. You know, like you and Brian are like established night players who know what you're doing. This is for people who are just literally trying to like submit faction, get carried.
I think
There's a little
hard.
I think
yeah, but there's a little bit of work you got to put in with them.
Yeah, you can stat check your way to a 3-2. Yeah, I think they're good to like learn how the actual game works, like movement, positioning, priority, range. All that stuff.
I think if you're gonna put knights at bottom of A, you have to put Death Guard above them.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just put it here. I want this to be. I don't want it to just be like A with like 20 things in it. We'll just spread it out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, that was good. Because I hate when they do that. I hate when I see a tier list and it's just like 20 things in A and like one thing in B and like 10 things in C. I'm like, come on.
It can't work that way.
All right. Next one, Steptus Astartes. I'm gonna preface this that you are taking the best stuff, not the worst stuff.
If you play,
so we have to get that out of the way.
If you play I mean, you can probably just like Sharpie out Astartes and write Ironstorm and then throw them in S.
Yes. Ding ding.
So that's kind of where I'm at. So I was actually going to, if we had done this 3 weeks ago, I would Sharpie out Astartes and I would put Black Templars.
Templars or Dark Angels, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, or Dark Angels. I really like Jack's 2-up save the Codex list that he was messing with. But like that Black Templar list, losing wound rerolls from Oaths a Moment really allows your opponent to carry forward more material from turn to turn, and the damage can actually start adding up as you're removing less and less of your opponent's army every single battle round.
Yeah.
But the new Iron Hands detachment or Firestorm, whatever you want to call it, is really good. I like it either just regular or even like with Dark Angels. I think that detachment is super good, and honestly, anytime Iron Hands or Iron Hands adjacent is good, the play style and the play patterns it encourages are very good for like this type of thing where you're just trying to get carried by an army that's not very hard to play.
Yeah, they're so beginner friendly. Math is so great. Just stick things together and shoot down range. Like
the Iron Hands to Blood Angel player pipeline is like the ideal starting scenario for anyone that like wants to be great at this game eventually.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, Iron Hands, like if you just run like the some of the screening units, like some scouts, infiltrators, and then you just staple together a bunch of guns, back up with some indirect. Like Iron Hands is just always, when Marine shooting is good and Iron Hands come out, like it's just always been good.
You know what I just realized? I don't know anyone that's like a Space Marines one trick. Like I know people that are like specifically Ultramarines one tricks, and then I know people that play Iron Hands when they're broken, and no one in between those 2 points.
No, that's true. Well, it's kind of like Custodians. Like everyone just has like a Space Marine army.
Yeah, like the faction like encourages you to do that. It's like basically models as a service. Like you're never gonna own the whole Marine. Well, like, sorry, most even vaguely reasonable humans won't own the whole Marine.
Oh, the hot take from Noah. I'm down to put these guys a little bit lower. I just didn't want to have like. I was afraid like Noah would like show up like underneath my bed or something like that. But he totally understood what the point we were trying to get across. How about this, Noah? We're gonna put them.
I don't think they're worse. But yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Right here. That was good.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Custodians? Like I feel like does that look better?
Yeah, that looks more right. I mean, I think you could make the argument that GSC should be above IK, but
yeah, I think they should be in front of Knights.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, I mean, the power of Bomba, man.
Yeah, dude, stop. Like GSC is not the like finely guided knife that it once was. It's a man with a grenade and a purpose.
Yes. Like not even a grenade. It's like Wile E. Coyote like pack of like dynamite.
Yeah,
it straight up says like TNT on it. And he's just like catch.
Yeah,
just
rise up to the moon.
Yeah, throw future Molotovs. Go.
Ooh, all right. So the first guy that thinks we're crazy, Richard Hag. Have you played the new Ironstorm detachment?
Yeah, that's the.
We'll wait.
You will see.
Also, like, Have you had to keep track of dark packs as someone just trying to join tournaments?
Again, I feel like we're gonna have to say this like about 20 times. This is not what factions we think are the best, what factions we think are the worst. So there's like this is straight up like the
Oh yeah,
I
this would
am
be
bad
way
at the
different.
I am bad at the game and I am trying to get carried by a faction while I learn to be not bad at the game.
Yeah. And like
so
this is armies that don't like inhibit the getting better while improving your win rate.
Yeah, this is very much like a combination of raw power and like ease of play, forgiveness, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that
So,
Ironstorm detachment is like really high up there for that.
Yeah,
especially if you're smart and you take whirlwinds.
Yeah, and Chaos Space Marines are still an A, and that's because they have enough power, even with the amount of rakes that you can step on with that army. Like you can make a lot of decisions, you can make them a lot of wrong, but if you press the zeal button at the right time, you know, like, and you get the target priority right that one turn, you can just put your opponent into dirt because CSM put out the big damage.
One note, Richard, just to respond to this, I think true. I see what you're saying, but because the detachments in the new Space Marine Codex are so clear about like insert units in here, like the Ironsword detachment is very clear about telling you if you take insert good shooting vehicle output and tech marines, you will profit. And like it's pretty easy to make a highly effective shooting list.
Yeah, CSM aren't
very durable with those.
CSM aren't where they are on this tier list just because it's easy to like write their list badly and fuck it up. It's that it's easy to like mismanage the CSM and have it go wrong, right? Like that Terminator list that I played in my hands did super well. When pawned off, does a lot less good because it's really hard to manage a 700-point unit efficiently. Similarly, in Liam's hands, that list went undefeated and smashed every Eldar player it played. In less capable hands, it's not going to do that. It has more units to play off the fact that it has other options, but things that make CSM good is like higher level concepts that someone at this level may not have, right? Like the tempo and flow management of a game and like the when to hit the gas like through the floor and when to ease off are really important for CSM being good, bad, or otherwise, and are way less important for 3 Redemptors and 3 Whirlwinds.
Ironstorm shooting, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should just put Adeptus Astartes, like just delete them. Like don't even that's what it is. That's what their detachment is now. Welcome to the era.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back on because I do think Richard does have a good point. So let's just assume like let's just throw out the bet like it's easy to make a bad season. Let's just assume that someone hands you the correct or a good CSM list, your net listing, and you don't tweak it, which by the way seems like challenge mode impossible for chaos players. To not tweak a good list.
Christ alive,
let's just say someone gives you a net list, you actually play it. It is. There's so many decision points, like because like every single unit that you have has like 3 or 4 buttons that you can press. You're kind of like, okay, do I pact? What pact do I choose? Do I press the strat? Like same with the force fiends. Like you get to do all that, and you get to overcharge, and then like add this positioning and stuff like that. But like also,
so I say this story a lot, but like my first activation of 10th was I was playing a game against Seth, and Seth moved out a truck. And I was like, well, I guess I'll Overwatch. So I Overwatched, which meant that I had to Dark Pact, which meant that I had to roll a leadership test, which I then re-rolled because Abaddon was in the unit, which I then had to roll a 2-up to see if I passed the CP, after which I had to roll all my shooting activations, after I picked which buff I wanted, depending on the target, then I picked up all those dice and re-rolled all of those. That activation alone took like fucking 5 minutes to resolve, and I was shooting Overwatch.
So this is a testament to the raw power of Chaos Space Marines. Is that despite all that stuff that Anthony says, they're still up here in A. Out of all these armies, Chaos Space Marines is probably, in my opinion, the best one to like grow with, because like you're just as you get reps, you're gonna start really kind of feeling it. But like if you do manage to like line it up and press the button, it's like like back if you're playing like softball or little league or whatever, the first time you connect, like really connect to the ball, and you hear that pating of the aluminum bat. Non-Americans probably don't know what I'm talking about. But when you hear that and like the ball just disappears into the sun, and that feeling, like that's the first time you truly connect with a good CSM like shooting or like melee phase, like that's what it's like. And that raw damage and that raw power can make up for the fact that this CSM is a little bit harder to play than the other stuff in tier A and tier S. Cliff, if that's you typing, it is turbo loud.
Sorry.
It's all good. Get that mechanical keyboard. All right, the next one, Tyranids. Man, I am like super conflicted between A and B on these guys.
So I'm gonna just direct you to their general win rate, and I'm gonna have you delete what you saw John do with them, and I'm gonna have you put them in C.
To be fair, like what I saw John do it, like is one of those things where like when I saw John play, I mean there may have been stuff I wasn't noticing, but like after like seeing him play and after playing that game, it like there wasn't anything mind blowing. He just did the straightforward thing and didn't like do any obvious throws. You know, he screened me and basically like desynced my go turn by 1, and then on my go turn he turned my army off. And the entire time that was happening, he just shot the fuck out of me. It wasn't like it wasn't anything crazy. It was just it was just good. It was a good list. It was piloted well. He just didn't really make mistakes.
Yeah.
And a game plan stuff with it. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have. I think it doesn't have the raw power to get you out of trouble when things start going south.
Dude, if someone just like puts 12 war dogs in front of you, it's real easy to just be like, all right, well, fuck, I guess I lose.
Yeah.
Did you bring gargoyles?
Even if you did, if you're in this tier, if you're watching this video, you're gonna be like, I don't know, bro.
It is definitely hard for me to delete what I saw Tom or what I saw John do, which was basically like it was just the 1-2. It was like, hey, turn 1 I stage, turn 2 gargoyles, turn 3 the entire army powers down. I'm like, well, fuck.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that makes sense. With the win rates and like there's just not a lot of like super raw power, so it definitely requires you to be operating a lot of decision points in tandem to squeeze the most you can out of that book. And if you are the target demographic for this and you're trying to climb and you're just trying to learn the basics, learn your fundamentals, your matchups, probably not the one for you.
Yeah, you don't want to be like I don't want to be an equal contributor on the team between me and my list / faction here. I want that. I want them to be LeBron, and I'm just going to be the dude in the corner waiting to get past.
Dude, I don't even want to be like on the dude in the corner waiting to get past. I want to be like on the practice squad.
Carry me. I get a ring too.
Yeah, I get a ring. Maybe I'm on that shit if this doesn't work out. Like it's all good, baby.
Oh yeah. Orcs. I think orcs are like actually super high. I think they're up here. I think there's argument for them up here even.
I think A though, because I think there's an element of like at this level of play being like, can you deal with this? And shoving things forward in people's faces presents like very real issues.
I think they go on top of B because the units. So like, let's assume for a second, like follow me down this logic trail. Let's assume people watch this video and take our advice, right? If they do that, Leagues, Ironstorm, Eldar, and CK shit down your gullet.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it is like, you're not winning, barely you're playing. And in a world where that exists, and I think there's going to be a lot of fucking Ironstorm around in, like, a week.
So there is. I don't want to drop them that far down. I could drop them probably down. So I'm thinking of dropping down here, definitely in front of Necrons. I'm sorry, guys.
That's fine.
This could be a problem. This could be a problem for everything else here, but I think we might go a little bit into theory. I'm going to counter with this. Guess without you two looking. Guess what the newcomer win rate for Orcs is? With 407 games played.
52.
High 50s, low 60s?
57.
There it is.
57.
And that's I mean, I'm telling you, man, if you shove a bunch of stuff in somebody's face in this range, there's like big freak out moments. Like,
when you're climbing, like a lot of people will just shit the bed. They'll just instantly shit the bed. You stage, you come out, you drop the flash gets a bad ruck, and give them like the one thing you can't solve on your next turn. those guys like shoot it a little bit on your go turn. They come out because like what I really like is when you do the wall, you push up, and then the flash gets then disembark, so they can get all the rules and get like like the lethal and the exploding and all that nonsense, whatever. And people are like, okay, yeah, well, if they disembark, they get picked up. I'm like, no, they fucking don't, because like when you walk and you put all that stuff in your face, like there's now an entire orc army in front of them, and then the trucks just, the guy driving the truck just kind of does this, and like just backs it up, starts playing the objectives like behind you and stuff like that. Yeah. And then like now they're just trying to deal with all these idiots, and like you start to run out of steam after you walk, but like you run out of steam, your opponent runs out of bottles, so like it ends up. A lot of times that ends up being just fine.
Yeah.
So
to Anthony's point, it does turn into like you're like, here's my army, and they're like a bunch of these factions are like, all right, cool, I'm gonna kill it now.
Yeah, bet. Anyway, see ya.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I still maintain. I think they should be. I think I can see an argument for like lower A because they start getting suppressed when you start bouncing the other stuff. But now we're starting getting like more of like a meta discussion. I think for just like straight up like getting carried a little bit and winning games you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Just because you managed to not fuck up your stage turn and then you called the wog the next turn, like you're gonna win a lot of games you shouldn't because of that.
Yeah,
and that's really kind of what we're going for here. Sarita's
on the back of the Sisters Act podcast, and there being a wealth of like good online communities to learn how to play Sisters only, they get to go in the bottom of C.
I think you can. Yeah, it's rough. Even when sisters were good, we're a hard army to climb with. Like you were still playing like a toughness 3 board control or combat army. Like so, even when sisters were just S tier for like just basic factions, meta, everything like that, they were still a hard army to get carried by.
Sisters also are bad for this because sisters stay playing 5-round games in Warhammer, and that shit is garbage when you're trying to grind GTs.
Yeah.
A lot of these factions, like a lot of these like factions up here in S and A tier, like you're gonna. A lot of times you'll put the game in the bag by like turn 3 usually.
Or 2. Like the game's like 2. Over on 2, tabled on 3.
Yeah. Or if it somehow goes into like a late game, you will notice your opponent like just straight up run out of steam a full battle round before you do, if you manage to turn into a 5-round grind fest.
Yeah.
Tau, and these guys are definitely somewhere in A. I'm kind of thinking they're like right here.
I would put them a little bit lower just because they're mono. One more.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah, there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's still monophase, which is tough sometimes.
It can be tough.
Movement you can sort of fuck up the movement a little bit.
And yeah, like they're big blocky boys and they don't go through walls anymore. Like it's easy to get this wrong. Or wrong enough that it like fucks with your chi, and then you don't climb the way that you're grinding.
Yeah.
They bleed secondaries super hard, and they don't really bully primary like crazy. Which that's a rough combo to have. Like CK can also obviously give up the primary if you are given the secondaries.
Like a motherfucker.
Yeah, they dominate primary so goddamn hard, that's fine.
I mean, to use like a very recent example, right? Like I think Crucible is the first time that Siegs has lost 2 games of Warhammer in a tournament since like many moons.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's not the first time he's played Warhammer in many moons, but like you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
These guys. So the thing is, like when we were kind of joking around, like, hey, just bring undercosted fast shooting, and that is this army, but like this also like what happens when they kind of like take it to extreme. You're mostly just trying to basically just, either just straight up go for the kill or go for the tabling, which this can do. And if you table people and then win afterwards, like you can climb.
That also counts. Yeah.
That does count.
They also have like a small thing that will be an issue, I think, if you're trying to like grind climb, is that like the Eldar matchup is like real uncomfortable. And that like having like a matchup that's that uncomfortable towards the top end is like annoying when you're trying to like push and get better. because
It's fine. I think because I think
popular.
I think that's kind of I think a lot of these. So I think a lot of these are trying like you're trying to a lot of these are just trying to get you to the light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of times
for sure. I'm just
a lot of
saying,
times while you're trying to get better, the light at the end of the tunnel, it's going to be a train. Just as it's going to be what it is.
oh, for sure. I'm just saying that like having a matchup that's like that, it's like similar to kind of what I was getting at with this view is cool.
It's
Kind
cool.
of similar to the view that I was getting at with Orcs, is that like it's difficult to be like on the grind and just be like counter like right in the face when you like think you're getting, like think it's getting better. Obviously for Tau it's a little more narrow, but for yeah, anyway, that's the point.
We were talking about this one a little bit before we started recording. Thousand Suns. I thought the newcomer win rate was a little bit surprising. It was 53%, and the let's see if I can find it again. The newcomer win rate is actually higher than there it is. Veteran is 39% out of 81 games. So I think that might just be abandonment. The newcomer win rate is 53% over 366 games, which is not a crazy high amount of games. But the stark difference between the veteran and newcomer win rate and then the games played, while also being, above 50% newcomer, means there is some juice in the tank here. Anthony, what do you think? I'm thinking like B-ish.
I would
go ahead.
I would put them towards like I think if you put them like literally last in they have to be lower than Tyranids, right? Surely.
What do you think here?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
You can just straight up like honestly, like you could just do something like real stupid, like just bring Magnus and then take the rest of your army, divide it by rubric, and like that will straight up like win you games. It's a decent rule set for sure.
They have good rules, like their characters are very good, but they like bleed assassinate like it's their job, and they're similarly not super great at pushing primary. It felt like in the games I've played against them.
Yeah, but the big thing is like I'm gonna shout out Kelly here. It says if you're a new player and you play Magnus and Terminators, you can just stat check other noobs. And I'll be honest, a lot of this here, it's nothing fancy. You are just stat checking other noobs.
Yeah,
you're stat checking noobs. You're stat checking, and you're trying to bring just enough raw power, like to make like good players sweat when they pair into you. That's the main goal.
I think for that perspective, they probably just go under Custodes then. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Just shoot the people are gonna like look at this and they're gonna not read like this top part and they're just gonna be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Here we go. Do they even look at their own data?
That's engagement farming 101, kids.
Exactly. We should just come out and like just one day just make the worst tier list of all time. Like have no context and like just like rank it by some hidden metrics that we don't tell the viewers about, and we're just like rambling stuff up there.
You rank them like good art.
Here they are, man. I'll be honest. I think this goes
top.
I don't know where, but this definitely an S tier.
I would
definitely an S tier.
I would certainly not put them in S tier.
Is it not one of the best 4-1 armies in the game?
So it's not bad at it, but if you look at our stats, they do tend to fall off actually at 3 wins, not 4. There's a lot of tripping at the 2 and 3 win threshold, not so much at the 4 threshold, and 2 of us have gotten 5 wins with them. Like, they're good. I think in 9th they would be an S tier for this, but they don't have the like benefit of the scoring the way they used to. And they are a mono melee army in 10th edition, which, if you're like on the grind, is a tough spot to be in. I think they're slightly worse than Chaos Knights is probably where I would put them, having the experience that I do on them. I also like, for context for this, I like accidentally did a bit of homework before coming on this week. I went up to BFS this weekend and watched a bunch of people that like weren't me play World Eaters, and I was like, oh, all right, word, this is what this army looks like. Because
Yeah, I get a little
without-
bit biased because I played so much. I used to play so much Dark Eldar, and I still play a lot of orcs. And like when I pick up World Eaters, it's like I just do that, but in red.
yeah, like that, like macro level understanding of the game is not like if you were to apply that assumption to the rest of the like, if you were to apply the assumption that the player has that level of understanding of the game to the World Eaters players to the rest of the lists, this entire tier list would look different.
Right.
For sure.
But like if the World Eaters isn't a bad army to develop it on, but I could definitely see it being frustrating as a grinder army. Like for me,
I can see that.
right? Like I've played like all sorts of armies throughout like my path through 40k at this point, right? Even still, the most stressed I am like in the pre-event, like the pre-game and like the pre-event stuff, or like even like the days between the events, is when I'm playing World Eaters. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens that's not in your control. Do you go first or second? Did the Yahtzee scam you? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that is tough when you're like on the come up, because it's again, it goes back to like my take about like writing your own list, right? Is that it is difficult to pinpoint like where I went wrong, where the list went wrong, and where the luck went wrong. And I think that like lowers its like standing. There's a lot of things in World Eaters that they do that are just like, you know, good 40k stuff, right? Like they go fast, they score pretty, but they do like lose a step basically, I think, because of that. Also, you lost Iron Hands shooting or whatever when you did that.
No, it's like blank. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so that pretty much looks like it. I think now we just kind of fine tune it a little bit. Man, I don't like. I don't mind A being so big because you can definitely kind of stat check stuff because it feels like all this. It feels like everything A tier and above is stat check, and CSM is stat check asterisk.
I mean, if you like, if it makes you happy, you can slide Necrons into the top of B, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. I'll be honest.
That gives you holy synergy.
I think for whatever reason, if you don't have, if you just don't like Space Marines, or you just refuse to do it, or if you just don't have access to models or whatever, and you don't have access to Votan models, and you go A tier, like you should be able to beg, borrow, or steal something here. I feel Necron's definitely your worst choice, so I think we could definitely put that.
Either or is fine. Like Necrons, those are just not. But like, yeah, I think any of those are good.
Cool. Yeah, and I edited it just for the screenshot. Like,
brain off stat checking under nerds. Exactly my way to play. It's the best.
Okay. Now we're gonna basically everything B tier and below for this purpose. Just ignore it now, because like it's really. I would just suggest if you're just trying to climb, if you're just trying to get carried, really try to grab the Ironstorm shooting list. Whenever we figure out what it's going to be, I think it's just going to be probably Redemptors, Gladiators,
Dreads, Whirlwinds.
Whirlwinds. You need Whirlwinds to trigger Mercy's weakness, and then some Tech Marines, and then like maybe it's like some shit like Scouts or whatever. I mean, that list writes itself. I think
it's crazy.
If you do it Dark Angels, I think you can add Talon Masters into that, which seems real good, because like now you just have a whole bunch of lone op. You're getting shot hard, and you can't just shoot it back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. You're gonna start. I think you're gonna start hearing a lot about that list in the coming months. Definitely over the winter. Okay, cool. Let's stop sharing this and let's jump right into questions because we have a bunch of them. All right, and Anthony, you can help us out with these ones now.
Yay!
All right, yay! From Adam Parmenter, whose profile pic is a crab. New meta takes Chaos Knights versus Thousand Suns, Necrons, or CSM. How do these matchups go, and what's the best way to play them?
Man, I could write you like a dissertation on that.
Yeah, we're gonna pin that one because
Discord.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that one via text and Discord when Anthony and I are like not sleep deprived, because that's like 3 separate questions, and it'll take up like an entire show.
Yeah.
But yes, we can definitely help you out with that, and we will. And I pinned it. From Austin, a couple episodes behind, so sorry I already discussed. How do you balance fitness exercise with hobby playing when you have limited free time? Getting into painting zone is support for my mental health, and it's tricky deciding what's prioritized on a given day.
Badly is my answer.
I have, so I went through this a little bit when we started like really prepping Team USA for Belgium, the 2 weeks leading into it. I'll be honest, my physical health, I just kind of like let it slide. I think I probably could have done a better job of it, but it was just kind of like hey, this is a temporary thing. I'm going to push. We're going to focus on like doing stuff for the team, whatever. But that's also like not a level of like Warhammer and prep and commitment that most people are doing. But once we came back from Belgium, even though I was going to a bunch of events, I actually just kind of stopped really doing practice games for those events. I'm just like, well, I'm just going to take every single event, and each event is going to be my practice for the next event. So War Masters was practice for a local GT. That local GT was practice for Crucible. Crucible was practice for Tampa, and I'm just kind of like doing that because I really started trying to get the diet back on track, spend more time with the family. Getting back to the gym. I've been working out. I try to work out like 4 days a week, really get back into it. And it's just these kind of like shifting and slight priorities. The biggest thing is like no matter what is important for you, you need to make time for it, and don't make time for it like the day of. Like plan it out. Like get a calendar, do something, and plan out. Like Tuesday is my painting day. Wednesday is my like gym day. Thursday is my play game day. Friday is my spend time with like my family, my friends, my dog day, that stuff like that. But you need to actually like plan it out.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, use shared calendars with your partner. If you don't already have that, you should be on the same like Google Calendar setup so you can see what's going on. Have a little check-in weekly to map out the week. And to Tim's point, understand that like you just can't do everything all at once. So like I know, for example, that like having seen what Tim and Anthony and all the like great players do, I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't have enough time to do that. I'm just not going to be particularly great at this game. And that's okay if that's the choice that you need to make. But if you do want to be really great, know that like something else has got to go. And you got to figure out which one of the things that are important in your life have to be sacrificed to the throne of Warhammer 40K goodness, which is a worthy goal, because it is ridiculous how good people are at this game that we play. But just know you got to give some up. Can't have it all.
Also, I would say like to kind of close that one out, the last there's could also be a little bit of expectation management. Like you will, if you're working out or if you're practicing or you're painting or whatever, you will eventually hit your goals. It might just take you longer to get to them. The big thing with anything, whether it's like fitness, playing the game or whatever, it is a lot easier to maintain a slow and steady pace rather than like overcommit and go deep in it and go hard in the paint, burn out, and then just go cold turkey for months, and then try to pick up and get back into it. So if you just have that cycle of like overcommitment, going hard, burning out, doing nothing for months, and then the bug bites you, go back into it, versus just kind of like maybe taking the engagement down to like a healthier, less obsessive level for anything. Like this could be the gym, painting, playing the game, whatever. And you just have that slow, steady burn, but you never like are burning yourself out. Like you'll be surprised what like 6 months, a year and a half that looks like. Okay. Stu, tips for CK against Eldari. Definitely not driven by my LGT round pairing. Stu says, I think you answered this in the hog pen, so feel free to ignore. If this doesn't add value, Stu, it does add value. But like I said, just for the purposes of the fact that we did something else with the episode, we have 3 people. We're going to shelve that one because that would be a good one to answer.
He also already played the matchup. He won.
Also, that's it.
Yeah, you did it.
Spoiler, he did it. He deployed on the line like everybody told him to, and then he went first and killed the Eldar.
Hell yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Richard, how regularly do you need to play in tournaments to keep your skills sharp? I don't.
I think that depends on your play level a lot.
Tournaments or just
in general, I think. I definitely think you should probably try to play in like 1 to 2 GT, like big GT plus size events, like with like clocks and like good players and stuff like that, probably like twice a year, just so you can kind of get used to like that pressure of like maybe you're not close to home or you're living out of a bag in your hotel, like there's that little bit of like a stress level of like, maybe you don't have everything you need, you don't have all your creature comforts, you're kind of in a weird place, you're playing against someone you don't know, blah, blah, blah. And just like there's that all these little tiny little like subconscious pressures kind of like add up, and like it's the thing that people don't talk about. Like, yes, get good at playing the game, good at playing fundamentals, roll a little bit hot, go first a bunch. Know your matchups, know your army, that kind of stuff. But what people don't realize is a lot of that stuff can be simulated in practice games, tabletop simulator, but you can't really practice that being taken outside of your comfort zone, having all those little tiny micro pressures that you just can't quite pinpoint what they are, but they are still weighing on you nonetheless. So I think there's that.
Yeah, like the year I had like my like come up, so to speak, when I was like most active playing tournaments, I would play 2 a month. And that was like the clip that I was like, burning at, but I also went from like barely playing the game to where I ended up in a year and a half, and that's like, just a balancing act, right?
Yeah. It's like yeah, I think it's one of those things where like, it's you can talk about the game all you want on like Discord and stuff like that. You can go to Math Hammer, you can read a bunch of articles, you can watch a bunch of Art of War streams, whatever, but it's kind of like if you're just consuming content and not actually playing the game, you're not. It's like taking a bunch of supplements and like not going to the gym. Like you're just not going to get stronger. You're gonna sound real knowledgeable, and then you're gonna go like bench and like and like neck yourself like on like with 135 or something like that. And everyone's gonna make fun of you.
No shade if that's all you can do. We all start somewhere.
Yeah, we all start somewhere. But also like big guy privilege.
True.
But if you want to get good at playing tournaments, you got to play a lot of tournaments. If you want to get good at playing 40K, you got to play a lot of 40K. And playing tournaments and playing 40K are two intertwined yet distinctive skill sets. So I would say like to at least get an idea of like what you're in for, like I would try to aim for like 2 a year, but really the more you do, the more you can do. Frank has a G. Man, it's so weird. A lot of these questions are from like almost a month ago. So I'm gonna skip through some. We're going through a time warp. Here's a good one. A little bit of meta theory. Given the more than expected drop in win rate of Eldari and the harsh drop of Deathwatch, how much of it do you think can be attributed to good players leaving a faction because they're fed up by Eldari, or other Space Marine chapters are better? I think faction abandonment and faction
real
bandwagoning are a super real thing. A lot of people talk about how it can inflate the stats and numbers that an army is putting up, but good players are attracted to those factions for a reason, or they are deterred from those factions for a reason, because at a certain point, it's just not worth sticking with the reps that they have, like because it's just too much power to be gained, too much advantage to be gained elsewhere by switching, and it makes up for the fact that they have to relearn.
We'll have maybe in the next like month or two, we'll have like an actual visualization tab that'll show player migration between factions over time across metas. So that should help answer that question in the future.
From Dick, I'm thinking of getting a cordless vacuum. A Dyson will changed my life as much as the commercials say. Yes.
Go get it.
From Rickard, how much overcorrection in terms of switching factions or units after balance pass do you think happens? 2, do you find yourselves doing the same overcorrecting? Do you wait a bit before moving on? I just honestly just talk to other people whose opinions I respect and kind of see what they're doing. I'll also just kind of like lurk in channels where I know quality discussion is happening, and I'll see what people are buzzing on. Combine that with scrolling through BCP on the weekends and following on like what's putting up events, because there's a little bit of lag between people performing at events and then like when the data starts populating into stat check. But like once you get about like 3 weeks in, you can kind of start seeing the trends and stuff like that. But like really just seeing what people are buzzing in, spectating some TTS games, you have like that kind of option. Really just trying to crowdsource as much of the meta resources as possible, but being careful about like where your sources are. That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I am notoriously stubborn when it comes to lists and stuff like that. Like I hit like a thing that works, and like there might be optimization left in that. Fuck if I know though. Anyway, on with the grinding of the thing that I know works. Like
Yeah.
I
If
just
if it works, just keep doing it.
yeah.
So it doesn't.
But like, I'm very guilty of that. Like pretty often actually, like I'll just be playing a thing because I'm like, yeah, it's already good, and then I'll like tell Jack that I'm playing it, and then he'll like hand it back to me with like more units and somehow no like not less killing power. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably better. I should just do that instead. But like I just don't I don't interface with the game that way. I'm like, I have achieved the weapon. It is good and it works. Now I'm gonna go learn how to hit people with it better. And that's like the extent of my care.
Anthony's like 2001 Space Odyssey when the monolith comes down and he like gets the bone, he starts hitting the other monkeys with it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This works.
Ethan, eternally confused debater, asks, why do I continuously list build and ask specific questions despite knowing that I just need reps? I don't know, Ethan. Why do you do that? But you also aren't alone. A lot of people do that. Yeah, it is fun. It is fun to ask questions.
But it's not helping you get better.
Well, it's good. It's good to ask questions too because you can't always be playing. Like sometimes you're stuck at work, but you're passionate about the game. You like the game. You're thinking about the game, and you want to improve. And you know there's other people that like have information that you seek and you desire to possess. And you can't just eat their brains, so you got to like ask them the questions. So that's
yeah.
So I mean, that's good. That shows you care about the game you want to improve, and that's just a natural symptom / byproduct of that. So don't fight it, but play more games. This is gonna be more for Cliff. This is well above my pay grade. What is your max spread on interest rate for you to sell a house versus rent? I got my house at 4.6, but I'm probably going to change duty stations within a couple of years. I'd rather not rent it out, but if interest rates are still like 7%, my hands are probably tied. Bro, I don't know. Anything like 4.5, like 4, like I'd say anything sub 500 is like gold.
Yeah. So this will sound silly, but like the question underlying this is like, what is the rental market for the property that you would like to rent? And what would that be relative to the mortgage interest, the mortgage rate you would pay for a new home now? Right now, rental rates are get out of here. Right now, rental markets, depending on where you are like intensely competitive. Because landlords are doing what the market can bear instead of like what is like actually humane. Yeah, exactly. So like you can probably get a lot depending on where you are for the house that you've got, and like swing a 7-ish interest rate, but it's also like, do you want to do that? Like, do you have to do that? Really, because we might be in, I don't know, we're in like 20-year interest rate lows that are sort of normalizing now, and people are freaking out and they think they're going to go back down to like 3. I don't think that's going to happen for a few years.
We are at the point where we're like, okay, we have to buy out. Like our rent is like $2,400 a month. So it's like, bro, what is even happening? Like we live in the woods in Jersey. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's rough. I wish I could tell people like just buy a house and refinance gets better, but like honestly, it's rough out there right now.
It's hard, yeah.
From Richard, if your faction has an obvious weakness, should you ignore it and play to your strengths, accept there are bad matchups, just move on, or is it worth allying in things to try to fill that void, such as Knights for anti-tank, get around, save lack of firepower, lack of anti-tank options? So I have found there's always caveats and exceptions, of course, and every scenario is unique. I've found generally that it is better off like once you've decided that I'm playing this faction, and if the reason that you're playing that faction is because it's a strong faction with good rules, you're good with it. The general trend is that it is better to lean to your strengths. And then if you can, I'm going to use a weird Tim analogy here, but like when you're using like Waze or Google Maps and you're going to your destination and you're like, oh, I need to pick up some gas on the way, or I want to pick up like, go to McDonald's, pick up an Egg McMuffin or something like that. And the person in your passenger seat, because you're clearly not texting while driving, looks in the GPS and it shows you the gas stations or restaurants, and it shows you how far off your route they are, and you're looking for the shit that's like plus 0 minutes, plus 1 minute, plus 2 minutes, like that sort of thing. So if you are like weak on secondary scoring and you can pick up like some Nurglings, like Chaos Knights, like for 35 points a unit, 3 points a wound. Yeah, do that.
Go buy
like,
that.
Don't cut. Like you won't be like, oh, CK are bad at scoring. Let me cut 4 War Dogs to get a bunch of scoring units in. Oh, World Eaters are bad at shooting. Let me cut 2 whole 8-pound units to get like 3 predators in or something like
Oh
that.
boy.
Like, oh, Blood Angels are bad at shooting. Let me cut out 1,000 points and add like 5 gladiators. Like, don't do that. Like, you are playing that game. You're playing that faction for a reason. Hit that critical mass of what they're good at.
The Armiger Helverins and Blood Angels at the end of 9th. Just stop.
I didn't know people were doing it. Were they doing that?
Yeah.
Why?
I think there were some Imperium lists that were like Imperium plus Armiger Helverins that were doing really well, sort of like late, like third quarter, ninth. Yeah, but then people took that and were like, "Oh, I'll just throw it in everything." You're like, no.
You know what my favorite Blood Angels list that I saw in 9th edition? The ones where they had Sanguinary Guard, and they ran like as many as they could, and then they ran Death Company, and they ran as many as they could. And then when they ran out of that, they ran a bunch of jump pack characters. And when they ran out of that, you know what they ran?
Infiltrators.
Vanguard vets. Well, I was going to say Vanguard vets. There were some infiltrators there. But like when I saw a list and it was like 7 different data sheets with jump packs, I'm like, this guy understood the assignment.
Yeah.
He knows what's up. Like, it's just, I think it's just generally on average. There will be exceptions, but it's just generally on average to really lean into your strengths and hit that critical mass. And then you're just kind of like, it's like that boss fight where, you know, it has like that one, like the little critical hit mark or whatever. And you're just trying to make sure that you just aren't letting them hit it, you know, like, but you are just leveraging your strengths.
I don't put guns in my world leaders lists.
That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. You are the gun and your ammunition is your models.
Yeah. Shoot your units at people, please.
From Grant, have you ever watched Baki? I feel like Tim in particular would enjoy it. It's dumb over the top like Gizmo. I'm not a huge anime guy, but like it definitely piqued my curiosity. So I went and kind of like looked up some scenes or whatever, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. The first scene I watched was a guy who was like walked up to this huge like caveman or whatever. He was like shit talking, and to prove his strength, he just pressed his face against a glass door and just went like just pushed his face through the glass door and broke it with his face. I'm kind of like, okay, maybe there's something here. So it's on my watch list.
It goes both ways. I was here yesterday. No, I think you should leave. Nobody? Jeez.
Nope.
Just sad.
Nope. Jeff, aspiring forklift champion, says, as a current aspiring forklift champion, what 40K goals should I accomplish to climb the ladder to exalted forklift champion, forklift lord, and eventually ascension to forklift prince?
I would recommend nothing. You won. You just did it. That was it. That sentence alone, you've ascended. You skipped all the steps and went straight to prince. Congrats.
I mean, it's right there in his name.
Yeah.
He should have updated to forklift.
Can't argue with that.
We should just go in and edit his nickname because I think we can do that.
We should. Oh, yeah, we do have rights. Right? We can totally do that.
Yeah.
True.
Pizza Bagels Tommy says, how many holes does a straw have?
1. It's 1.
I think it's a singularity where it's both infinite. There's both infinite and no holes.
1. Begrudgingly 1.
Begrudgingly 1. Yeah. There it is. There it is.
If you bend the straw, does it become 2? Like if you hold on, if you like do one of these, now is it 2?
Well, I think if you pinch it, it's 2.
If you pinch it, then it becomes.
What I'm saying. Like, is it now 2? That's 2 holes.
Now it's 2.
But it's still a straw.
True.
It's still a straw.
But that wasn't the question.
Well, a bucket has 1 hole, but if
no, this is a straw, right?
It's still a bucket.
Is it a straw in its platonic ideal form, though?
That's not what the question was. Now you're adding words.
Straw calculus.
I had a straw on hand for this, by the way. That was very lucky.
How did you produce
I thought about commenting on that, but I decided to just scroll right past it.
Anyway.
Thank
you, Wendy's, from a questionable amount of time ago.
Let's go, Wendy's.
From Dan F, which 40K player has the best butt? Which 40K player has the worst butt?
Well, the worst has
I don't know.
Lies. Just
I don't know. But I do think it was funny how someone like clipped that out of context. Clip from Suggs talking about how John Lennon has a weirdly long butt.
Yeah, that shit was very funny.
It's not our John Lennon.
That doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the screenshot matters.
Also, if you show that to John, he will get very annoyed. But
Really?
He doesn't.
Do you promise?
Is he also is our John Lennon also proud of his bet?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We can find out.
Yeah, I'll see him like tomorrow, Friday.
There it is. Make sure
Yeah.
show him that photo. See how he reacts. It'll be great.
Someone asked what happened in
video.
London. Unless when someone says what happened in London, this could mean so many different things. Because as far as I know, there was a concert, there was a tournament, and there was a stabbing.
It was stabbing.
Yeah, that was real sad. So when we were at the Airbnb, there was like miscellaneous commotion outside, but being from, like having spent a bunch of time in New York City, grown up in Long Island, time in Queens, which is Long Island.
Yeah.
That like fuck you, dumb. Brooklyn is also Long Island for what it's worth. Anyway,
That's just
it is. It's just you can look. It's like on the island. Anyway, so yeah, there was like a bunch of commotion outside, and I was like, oh, that's nothing. It's just loud because we're near a city.
noises.
Yeah, that's what happens. And then there was a bunch of cops outside, and I was like, oh, we're about to get in a whole bunch of trouble for being loud and stupid. And then we couldn't leave the place because someone had been stabbed to death, which apparently is a much more common occurrence than I was made aware of in the London area.
Wow.
That happens a whole lot, and it was real sad, but also, yeah, that was just like a thing that happened while we were there. It was wild.
Yeah, you guys got stuck in that house like forever.
Yeah, I mean, like it wasn't that crazy. Like it was just like like Brian is like the hotel princess that like stays in 5-star hotels, and he got stuck in our like ghetto B&B.
Oh yeah. He looked like he's having a good time, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like he had a time, and
he was forced to have a good time.
Yeah, he had a time, and then around him, people like had we like made the best of it and tried to like do the thing that like dudes do when you get into a collective and like not process the trauma that's happening outside and just hang out and bro down. So
Jake says, which of the cool new Red Dragon stat check playmats with deployment zone indicators should I order?
Mars.
The Mars one seems to be really popular.
My world leaders are Mars based, so
let's go.
Yeah.
So are mine, although no, mine are more like just regular desert sand. I just did that because I had to get them 3-color and ready for a 9th edition GT, and I was really under the gun line. I might rebase them like my CSM and CK just so I can use that sweet new.
Yeah, you made a display board, dude.
Yeah, right.
Up.
Slams.
Yeah, now all my chaos has to be that. But the Death Guard lot I'm on, they're like on like metal plank works, and they're like on a ship or something. I don't know.
Don't worry, you won't need a display board for Death Guard.
Yeah, no, I won't need a display board Death Guard for a long time. From Frank, what new Marines attachments, if any, are you guys excited for competitive play? And which ones are you excited for? Because I want all 3 of us to say at the same time. Yeah. And which ones are you excited for from the Dad Hammer Unga Bunga perspective, regardless if it's good? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Iron Storm. All right, we suck, but it's Iron Storm. Like
flag is a bitch.
It's good. It's good. It's Unga Bunga. It's Dad Hammer. It's
go do it.
Man. Yeah. If you played like Iron Hands in 8th edition or 9th edition, like you know what you're in for.
Yeah.
So.
You might still have the model. Just break them out, put them back on the table. You're good to go.
I dug out I don't own a lot of Marine models, but I dug out the ones that like I was too lazy to sell, and I picked up like 3 used Redemptors. Like I'm talking like eBay rescue sadness, and I was just like, I'll probably play like once or twice eventually. It's good. I think I might just be a guy who just is one of those I like Iron Hands when they're broken kind of thing.
That's fine.
And I'll be honest. I'll be the bad guy. I think Iron Hands are fucking cool. I know they're much cooler when they're good, but I do think they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
Body
dysmorphia Legion.
Here's a good question from Gabe C. What would be an ideal practice session if limited to 3 hours? A full game of takebacks, 2-turn re-rack, then 2 turns. I think this is wholly dependent on what I know it sounds like a cop to say what your goals are, but do you have an event coming up, and how practiced are you with the event that you're playing at this game right here and now?
I generally find the most value out of just playing like a game, like a workshop. Tim has seen me do this now because he was part of the Team USA like practice process. But like when I play a game, I like basically none of my decisions are final or real when I'm practicing. I'm just like, I'm doing this, and then like you know, like shortly after I do it, I'm like, oh, that was fucking stupid for any number of reasons that it was stupid. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And I just like slide the models back or around or whatever. And like, yeah, sure. Do you get like blue balled in practice and you never get to like see if who won or whatever? But like, that just like isn't important to me at all in practice. So you can get a lot more mileage out of it by doing that. I think re-racks mostly are for like, oh, I fucked this up real bad. Like, this is not recoverable by like changing a couple things. This is just like over right now. Oops, reset.
The biggest thing I like re-racks for is shortening that feedback loop between kind of like that. When you clip a video, like it's like this is your for me, this is your deployment. This is your like second turn or like go turn,
right?
Kind of. And if you're just trying to like shorten the feedback loop of that, that's when re-racks are good, because a lot of times you need, like, for the human brain to learn, you need to have a valid and quick feedback loop to what you're doing. And a lot of times, like if you're playing a long drawn out game, you might have fucked up in deployment. You might have fucked up like how you initiated. You might have fucked up your go turn, whatever. You might have fucked up like your opponent's go turn, and you just weren't like ready for a clapback. And then the game ends, but like you fucked up 2 hours ago, and you just don't ever actually get that feedback because it gets lost in the noise when you guys start like scrambling late. You learned how to play late game and how to scramble and how to how to scrap. That's good, but you don't actually get that feedback from where like you truly fucked up. So that's kind of like when you do the re-recs. But also talk to your opponent. Like make sure you and your opponent are on the same page, because like if he's expecting to just play a game through completion, all of a sudden like you're workshopping with him, he's gonna be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like sometimes.
I just assumed
or if like
this was like a pre-discussed thing.
Yeah, I mean it should be, but like who knows? Like I'm assuming that you and your opponent are like mostly on the same page, but even then, like it kind of goes down to branching probability paths and that kind of stuff. So just make sure you talk to your opponent. From Ben, what is Cliff's nutrition plan?
I luck out and sort of naturally do intermittent fasting. Like I can't eat really before like 11 a.m. Then I have like maybe 10:30 sometimes, like some sort of high grain situation, like oatmeal or like whole grain toast. Late lunch, like 1 or 2. I'm like eating random snacks in between that. Dinner is usually something healthy. Meats involved maybe twice a week. And then Friday through Sunday, I just like don't think about it and eat whatever I want. It seems to be fine.
Oh yeah, I like intermittent fasting. If I'm not doing anything diet like or nutrition wise, and it feels like I could probably be doing better, a lot of times like just doing a little bit of intermittent fasting is kind of like how I get right. We're almost done, guys. We only have like a handful more questions. We'll go through chat. We'll close this
Cliff's out of here.
From Dick, been eyeing up powdered shakes for lunch lately. Don't really want to go out for lunch during work and limits overeating. Wondering if 40K guys have any advice. I've done that before. I like to pair powdered shakes with some sort of green vegetable from home, just to get that fiber, get that, I don't know how to pronounce it, satiety, whatever. When that feeling of fullness, just gets me through the workday. From Maglin, how does Cliff feel about 3D pie charts? Serious question. With Codex Marines about to drop, are there new flavors of Big Boy time coming up?
Iron Storm.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yay, we did it. What's the best flavor of pie? Also savory and sweet. I am really partial to key lime pie.
Yes, Tim.
I mean, it's called key lime pie because it's made from key limes, which come from the Florida Keys. It's a huge thing down here. It's sweet but tart. But no, savory versus sweet. If I had to pick one or the other, I kind of like savory more. But I think savory plus sweet is like the best thing ever. That's why it kind of throws me off when people are like, I think people take the meme too hard about like the Hawaiian pizza. I'm like, yo, that's savory and sweet. Like,
it's good.
I'm sorry that I'm sorry that people don't have taste, but it's culinary 101. Savory plus sweet. It's good.
People that get upset about like pineapple on pizza are children.
I also think
the only wrong way to do pizza is deep dish. Fuck you, Chicago.
I think
I think that whole pineapple pizza, like the pineapple pizza hate thing, the Hawaii pizza hate. I think it's just an example of like online meme culture and what's it called? Peer pressure. Just take it to the extreme, you know. Like like people just all of a sudden started having like real strong opinions about shit they never cared about just because their internet did. It's crazy.
I would argue that they still don't care about it most of the time.
They probably still don't. No, they just
maybe
just want to be part of it.
Most people I think are trolling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anthony and Tim, it's been a bit now since WTC. How is USA planning to do things differently heading next year's WCC and improve it all? Real exciting stuff. Anthony, I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go nuts.
Oh God, I'm not awake enough to give this the like proper like answer.
Just talk about just talk about the prospects, man.
So as of right now, give me a second. I'll log into a thing, but I'll ramble while I do that. So we have opened up applications to anyone that in the top 100 in the US ranking, which you can see on the StatCheck website, or anyone that has been sponsored by a current member that was on the team last year, either coach, prospect player, or starter, or the captain if you so choose, if you have the cojones to go ask Sean. No one has. That's why I say it like that, because people are apparently afraid of Sean, even though he's super nice. So we have like a really wide-ranging application pool. It's like we're up to like 40 based on the thing that I just looked at. I think it's 39. That will be broken down into a set of players that get interviewed by the captain, who is Sean. And then from there, I think like some amount of those players will then make what is now referred to as the academy team. And from that pool of players will be essentially like they're playing for 3 to 4 spots, depending on if the captain is asked to play. So 7 returning starters play for 4 spots on the team. The academy team of like 12 to 16, I think is what the charter allows for, plays for the remaining 4. Unless the captain is asked to play, then those guys play for the remaining 3 slots. And that's kind of the cycle that we live in. But I think based on like some of the applications that I've seen, and I'm not like really in a position where we can talk about who like, will make it through the interview stage and stuff like that yet, because applications are still open. But based on the roster that has applied, I would be like, it's trending towards this being like by far the strongest Team USA has ever fielded. And if the charter works as well as I think it will, this should be the beginning of like a dynastic run. So we'll see how it goes. But I think there's a lot to get excited about if you're in like a US 40K player in the team space.
Yep. It's looking through the people that we have, like the people that we've retained and the people that we're gaining and the applications, everything. It is kind of crazy. So one, I think real honest, like I think full blown imposter syndrome is like kicking it for me hardcore, because unless I grow a ton, there's like based off like all these people, if they all get soaked in. But I don't care because one, it's all about what's best for the team. 2, I'm going to get to play against a lot of these guys in internal scrims and practices and pick their brains and stuff like that, which is like one way or another, I come out the other end of this way better than before. And really, like, ever since I got back into like competitive 40K, I've always cared more about just learning and finding the best players there, playing them, and like learning rather than like sweating out a win that maybe like I did or did not deserve or whatever. That's what like competitive 40K is to me. So I'm like super excited about it. And yeah, we're just going to see what happens. I'm excited to see which of these guys make it to the next step. I'm excited to see what they come to the team. Ideally, we bring them onto the team. They make us stronger, and we make them stronger. And as a whole, we just go out there and kick ass, take names. I think we're really going to be. We finally have started to figure out like a way to truly connect Team USA with the huge talent pool.
Thanks, TTS.
That USA has access to, and like systematically try to like make it happen. And I think after this, we got like a decent amount of people, like 35, 36, 37 players. I think the number of applications next year is going to like a double, if not triple, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd expect 100 plus. Easy.
I think it's going to be exciting. Okay. Richard, are laser pointers a good idea for line of sight checking? Yes, absolutely. I bring two, like part of my, I don't really run with a lot of like gadgets and widgets, but like what I do bring is I bring two small tape measurers, and they have a little keychain, and they have like two like little laser pointers on them, the ones that put a line down the table. This is, I've always used them, but this is a shooting edition. And so unless you're playing World Eaters, like even then, if you're playing World Eaters, like people are bringing way more shooting than they were in past editions, and they're also bringing way stronger shooting than in past editions. And so if you're just getting shot by stuff that maybe you should push back on and like double check if you should be getting shot by it, if you aren't pushing back and you're just getting shot by more stuff than you should be, like your game's going to be harder to win because you're just losing more materials than you should be. So those little little laser pointer things, they make sure that neither player feels like they're getting scammed, and they make sure that the game state is accurate. So I highly recommend them.
Shout out to ONB for this specific. There's a laser pointer you can get that you point down towards the table, and it projects a line. From that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's even like Army Painter makes like a cheap $10 one that does that, and like it won't go across the entire table, but it'll go across like at least 2/3 of it. When the battery's fresh. It's pretty good. They're cheap. I have like 2 or 3 of them. I can't imagine playing without it, to be honest. Especially with like the little acrylic things and everything. It's just incredible. Richard, do you ever put things in lists because someone, e.g. your kids, got it for you regardless how good it is? Me personally, I don't, because tournaments are expensive, money-wise and time commitment-wise. I have to use paid time off to like go to them or whatever. And so for me, like the way I have fun is by bringing a list that is either optimized or is good enough where I know that I can not be trolling when I show up and I play competitively. I will put stuff like modeling wise that people get for me, like that's why I have Christmas trees on all my Chaos Nights, because someone I care about a lot got those for me. So, and people now have a display board with them. So, but lists, no, I'm in charge of my list.
Yeah, there are like certain units that I like will make an effort to like make sure that if they're good or not, like I'll double check, like, but past that, like you best believe I put Drazar on the table in 10th once, but
you're like, please, maybe.
I am really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Tampa, but I'm looking forward to post Tampa, because even though I've been kind of like chained to the CK, the way Anthony feels about Drazar, that's like how I feel about Angron.
He's bad,
and it's been rough, like leading my Angron at home and then grabbing my War Dogs, who I love, and going to events. But I'm like, oh, Angron, my beloved.
Yeah, he's good now. He's finally Kenough, dude.
Yes, he is Kenough.
That's why I have just Ken as like that. The YouTube link, like the name of my World Leaders list is like it's a link to the Just Ken song from Barbie.
I love it. Love it. All right, we're almost at the bottom. The scroll bar isn't going down anymore. Dan F, please spoil it for Nas and Ennis. What is the War Crimes DA Iron Storm list? I'll be honest, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would assume it's
3 Whirlwinds, 3 Redemptors, 2 Talon Masters, 2 Tech Marines. Fill the rest with whatever makes you happy.
You took it right out of my mouth. It's Ennis and Nas, so there's at least 2 units of scouts in there.
Oh sure, yeah. There's probably 3, but yeah,
probably 3.
Go nuts with the rest. It doesn't matter.
I think that list writes itself, to be honest.
I
love how the worst enhancement in there is a 10.4 up Field No Pain.
And you just don't bother. That 10.4 up Field No Pain is why they don't have a make a dread a character strat, by the way.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I would put so much money on that.
Probably. If you could take 4 enhancements, you'd probably just take it.
Maybe
there's a lot of 1990.
Maybe. Yeah. Just because list rating in 10th is fucking garbage. Maybe.
Yeah. You would just take like a second loan up lieutenant or something like that. Just slap it on him. Be like, you go do stuff.
Sure. Go nuts, soldier.
Yeah. Go do something. Question for Anthony: where did the nickname Violence originate?
Colin Sherman gave it to me. That's it. It's not much more complex than that. I'm very aggressive when I play, and I used to fight. I think that's pretty much the entire thing.
Yeah, he does the honey badger thing.
Yeah, I'm short and scrappy.
From Griggs, so Black Templars were in the top percent of win rate last week. What are the good lists running? Oh, this is a three-part question. Goddamn. Okay. What are the good lists running? Why are they not winning events despite the high win rate? Same question for World Eaters if Anthony wants to go into that. If you don't worry about it. Do you guys expect Black Templars win rates to drop once the Nerf O's come online? I think we just roundtable this real quick. One, I think the good lists are basically what Jack is running, where he basically just takes as many 2-up stages as possible, combines it with -1 damage, combines it with -1 armor contempt, and then uses the fact that they're good data sheets with full hit and wound rerolls.
Yeah, I think
the win rate will drop down. I think the win will drop when they lose the win rerolls.
Yep.
I think the high win rate is a combination of adoption. There's just so many good factions out there to pick, and also I think people are just tempted to run like other stuff that isn't that. So I think it's just list dispersion. All right, Anthony, you next.
Black Templars are good, but they're gonna have a hard time closing the deal against like the truly great armies. I think that's true and likely to be exacerbated by the new codex just by Ironstorm. World Eaters are a very difficult army to close an event with. They're very easy to like win random games with, but to like truly close and like beat the people at the top is very hard without guns. It was true in 9th. It's still true now. I think there's going to be like a wave of people that pick them up after having seen them get like 15th at LGT, and like then like their friends talk about it, and like a lot of people will pick them up, and then there will be subsequently a lot of people that drop them when they like play a few games with them, and they're like, oh, I actually like the no guns thing is like not a joke. I actually shoot no bullets in the game.
Yeah.
So I just like, I don't know why they're hard to close with, but I guess like that's just like kind of the thing. I mean, you could see it like they have like a 52% win rate last week, but like a 0.4 and over up. And it's like, oh, okay. Like people are just like not finishing the deal with them. It is what it is. It's hard. Like they're a highly technical army because like they just keep doing this. Like it's true in Sigmar as well, apparently, is that like they build Khorne as like this like mindless berserker rush, like get in there, slam the gas pedal, do the thing. And then you like actually go to play them and you're like, oh, you can't do that like actually at all. Yeah, it's like a technical melee army. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. So
yep. As far as Black Templars, I think the best way to run them is a stat check, and I think that again, I think you just get to a point where like the stat check stops working.
Yep.
Unless you're Jack. Jack took it pretty far in Crucible.
If he had just left his whirlwinds in his deployment zone, he probably could have beat John.
I'll be honest, man. I think that might have been a little bit my fault. Like I introduced him.
Caught him up.
I introduced him to the hog pen and got that boy acted up. Yeah. That man, he said crank that hog so many times that event. It was
oh my god.
Join the StatTech Discord and you too get to understand this meme.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain it.
No, of course not.
No context. How would you price a lot of minis to sell?
40 to 50% off. Go.
No, so what I usually do is I pull out. It depends how fast you want to move them, but generally, I think what I find the best thing for my buck is I pull out all the stuff that I think is going to be hot to sell at the meta, and then I sell them at like competitive rate. I see what the market can like kind of handle and stuff like that, and you try to get some money, and then everything else, you basically just I take out the absolute crap stuff, and then so basically take out all the hot stuff, take out all the crap stuff, and then you aggressively sell your lot. You know, like take the low end, like 45%, like 50%. I'll give good deals on lots. You know, there won't be any meta stuff in it, there won't be any garbage in it, but like I'll just give you a good collector's deal. Here, I'm just trying to recoup some losses. I've gotten my use out of it, whatever. I'm just trying to get a little bit of cash back. Here's your core stuff to like start your adventure of your army. And then I take all the crap stuff and then I just sell it to like Warfire Minis or Mind Takers or some sort of like FLGs, some sort of reseller, whatever, just get what I can. That's usually what works out well for me.
If you're really committed, buy Christmas box sets. Keep the one or two things you're actually interested in. Sell the rest of it on eBay at 25% off minimum retail price. That means you're giving a really good deal to somebody out there in the universe on eBay. Do free shipping, just eat it. You're selling all that stuff at cost. The Christmas boxes are usually themselves somewhere between 25 and 40% off retail price for the individual contents. You usually, if you buy enough of them, you'll come out like with free minis and a few $100s in your pocket after with like a little bit of work.
Okay. So going through the chat, it looks like for the most part we kind of like addressed them all. We have one super chat. I'll show it from cloud mode. This is, I love that icon of Sonic. This is 100% for Anthony, so I'll let him kind of close it out. How does World Eaters beat Necrons and Orcs?
That is so funny. So Necrons have a really hard time with like the raw, unadulterated speed of Eaters. They also don't have like a great Angron answer now that he's now that Doom's Erics are expensive. Like you can shoot heavy destroyers at him, but like it's a weird resolution. So yeah, like the ability that they have the ability if you build the list correctly to like wipe bricks, and that's obviously problematic for different reasons. There's like a lot of the things that World Eaters are doing jive like great directly against the things that Necrons are bad at. As far as beating Orcs goes, I think they're just better in melee. Like the World Eater unit, it's being able to just be like, I see we're gonna fight this turn, Mr. Orcs. All right, army wide 4-up fight on death. Good fucking luck. It's like really annoying. And then like if they do that and the feel no pain, it's just like, and you might not even kill me. By the way, I hit you back, you're dead. So yeah, it's touchy. I think World Leader data sheets and like their army wide rules just much better. Good God, please put the wall back to being top of like your battle round. Yeah. What the fuck are we doing? That is the worst change that that a faction has like probably had to face tank in 10th for ostensibly having the same mechanic. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of the trick for that. I think one thing I will say is that like people seem to think that like World Leaders have this huge problem with transports, and that's not true if you charge a transport with 2 units, because you can set it up such that they have to 3-inch disembark, and then you hit the transport with unit A, unit B piles into their thing that got out of the transport and it hits that because the combat rules of 10th have changed. So just stuff to keep in mind.
Sweet.
That's it.
All right, man. Anthony, thank you for joining us. I know it's late. We do really appreciate you. You always add a lot to the show when we have you.
I do my best.
We're all the same. We're all in the same like places, circles, and everything. But anything you want to plug before you bounce?
No, I mean I'm in all the things. I do some coaching through Art of War. I do a lot of content through Stat Check. I help with Team USA. Those are the things that I do. If you have questions about any of those things, hit me up. I may not message you tomorrow as I drag my sleep-deprived corpse across the finish line for my workday, but at some point in the evening I might. So if you have questions about those things, hit me up.
Cliff, closing thoughts?
Join our Discord, patreon.com/statcheck. Like and subscribe our videos, youtube.com/statcheck.
/the/statcheck?
C. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Go to YouTube, type in StatCheck 40K, it will come up. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Yeah, and then hit our Discord up and help us get better at making the content, doing the data, all the things.
Our Discord is awesome. Our shows are awesome. Our that website is awesome. Jeremy, Nathan, and Cliff really do huge work. It's just reverberated throughout the community. We also, for whatever reason, just due to the networking and just being all around good people that a lot of the people in the show are, there's been a lot of cross-pollination and linking of the WTC crowd and then America and then just teams in general, which, by the way, leads to advancing. We are doing a team event. I think we're up to 15 teams of 5 now. That's like 70, 75 people. That's
wild.
Signups end, I think, like on October 21st, I think. And
yeah, you got a while.
23rd. You got a while. It's worth joining just for that because they're like people from like team Poland, team France, team Belgium, like team USA. There's
some crazy teams in there.
So if you and it's going to be fun. It's like low. I mean, it's low. Granted, it's like $1,000 Canadian is the prize pool, whatever. But I mean, it's really it's low stakes. Like everyone there is
Yeah.
chill. It's gonna be fun. So it's worth joining just for that. Join for the team event. Stay for the Discord and the shows. To be honest.
Yep.
That's it. All right, I'm not going to ramble anymore. I will see you guys all in the Discord, and I'll see some of you guys in Tampa. Goodbye.
Quick